The mic is hot. I don't know. Yeah. All right, that's it. We're going. And Lori, we're close. 3, 2, 1, you're on.
Good afternoon and welcome to the fourth and final budget hearings for the Metropolitan Council for the 2026 budget. Thank you to everybody who came today, and thank you to everybody who is tuning in. Let's get started. This afternoon, we have the East Baton Rouge Parish Criminal Justice Coordinating Council. Hi, how are you doing, Mr. Sonka?
Hey, how are you guys? How's everyone doing?
Good to see you. Thank you for joining us.
I did email our presentation in. Was that able to get?
We'll get it up.
Well, we did hand it out, made handouts too, just in case.
Yeah, we'll get it up. Just takes a second.
Okay.
You had a good Thanksgiving?
We did. Thank you.
Good.
That's not us.
Uh-oh.
I also have it on a thumb drive here if they're having trouble.
There it is. There we go.
There we go.
Awesome.
Okay. Okay. We're ready?
We're ready.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I appreciate having this chance to speak about our upcoming budget and the 2026 proposed budget. I'm Chris Sonka. I'm the Executive Director of the Criminal Justice Coordinating Council. Just a little brief history. CJCC was established in 2019. It was a partnership with the Baton Rouge Area Foundation, with the City Parish, and with the MacArthur Foundation. And the whole purpose was to create a centralized, collaborative body that focused on making a safer Baton Rouge and improving the criminal justice system. Our board of directors are all the public safety leaders within the parish. We have representation from the mayor's office. We have representation. Ms. Rocca is our representative for Metro Council. I'd like to point out a couple of our other board members that are in the audience. Mr. John Spain, who I refer to as the grandfather of the CJCC because he really is the reason that we started this. Jennifer Carwile, and then my great staff that's sitting behind us. Our mission is to foster collaboration among justice, municipal, and community leaders to enhance the criminal justice system. We do that through using data-driven decisions, inclusive dialogue, and innovative practices. We strive to promote public safety, ensure accountability, and create equitable outcomes for individuals going through the criminal justice system. We also work to improve the system for the people working within it. I will have you note that CJCC is the only organization that works on the criminal justice process in a holistic, comprehensive method. All the other people that I mentioned, all our justice leaders, they're focused on working on their section of the criminal justice process. We bring them together to see how we can fix the system holistically and from the beginning until the end. You can go to, yep. On slide 2 there, you're going to see just some of the programs that we've started in the short time that we've been around the last 7 years. You can go to the next slide. I'm going to talk briefly about a few of those programs. The cornerstone of the CJCC is our pretrial diversion and recovery program. That predates the CJCC. Funding for that came from MacArthur Foundation, and we were able to start that program, which then led to more funding which created the CJCC. That program focuses on people who are incarcerated, recently arrested. They get them out of jail. They get them into programming. We've had the same judge. You'll see Judge Don Johnson as part of that. We partner with the DA's office and the Public Defender's office. They go through the program. They get clean, they get sober, they get housed, they get employed. And they start setting their life right, and then the DA drops their charges. That's one of our, we have monthly hearings, and it's open to the public. So if you're, and I think several of you, Councilman Kenny saw one of ours when he did Leadership Baton Rouge, really to see how we're affecting the individual lives with this program. Next slide. One of the newer programs we just started was partnership with the District Attorney's Office. It's a retail theft diversion court. People who are considered habitual offenders for retail theft are identified by the DA's office. They're offered this program. Our case managers who run the pretrial diversion program also manage them. And it's set up to find them resources so that we can get them the things they need so they stop stealing. We've had, and I can't read that far. I should have brought my glasses. 45 individuals. We've had 19 graduates just in the year that we've done this program. It's gone very well. We did not realize when we were putting this program together with the District Attorney's Office what a need there was for this program and what a severe retail theft program there was. So we're hoping that we're making significant changes, and those numbers will be much, much bigger if we were to do this again next year. Again, we started this program with no funding, just additional, our case manager and resource coordinator for the diversion and recovery program agreed to take this on, and it grew into a big program. Next. We also started case navigators. Case navigators sit in the jail. They talk to everybody who's been arrested. Over the course of the last 3 years, we've been able to, our case navigators have connected with over 3,000 people who were newly arrested, interviewed them, talked to them about what they needed. And the whole point was to, if we catch them at the beginning when they first come in, and we start building those resource connections before they get out on bond or before their case is taken care of, we can make sure that they're following up with those resources once they're released. Almost 3,000 of those individuals were connected to a resource of some type. And again, I'm going to remind you, this is just 2 people who have been doing this for 3 years. And this program, if I had Kyle Romanok here, her and her people would tell you, and even the DAs, the ADAs, how much these people have served a purpose and helped the process going through the criminal justice process. Next slide. In partnership with the Wilson Foundation, Department of Corrections, the CJCC created the Capital Area Prisoner Reentry Initiative. It is the first unified prisoner reentry coalition that brings over 200 different community resource providers together to focus on people who are returning from prison and coming back into society to ensure they are getting everything they need so that they are successful in their reintegration into society. Our coalition's over 250 people. 138 of those are business organizations or community-based service providers. We now host what many of you have heard of is called Second Chance Tuesday. Every second Tuesday of every month, there's a resource fair at the library from 2 to 4 where people can come and get jobs, they can get phones, they can get drug and alcohol treatment, they can get help with housing. That didn't exist until we formed that with the Capri. Next. We've also, over the last 2 years, we've hosted the state's only statewide public safety summit. We started it 2 years ago, and the whole goal was to get lawmakers, law enforcement, and community people from across the state to get together to talk about what we can do as a state to make better criminal justice decisions and public safety decisions, specifically as it relates to legislation. We've done that for 2 years. We're planning to do it again next year, and it's been a huge success going forward. Next. And I could have went on for about 2 more hours talking about the other programs, but I'm not going to do that. We just listed them. Everything you see listed there, we've either partnered with or helped create. One of the proudest ones that I have is we helped get what'll be, when it's all said and done, probably about $3 million in funding over the course of it for Veterans Treatment Court. When I came here and I saw we didn't have a veterans treatment court, being a veteran, I was very excited and pushed a lot of people at the courthouse, say, hey, we have to apply for this. This is federal funding. They'll give it to us. We'll start. They just had their first graduation a couple weeks ago, and it's going amazing. And a lot of those are safety and justice survey. We started a statewide network of criminal justice, which are CJCCs throughout the state and other like bodies who now meet to talk about what they're doing and how we can learn from what they're doing in Monroe or NOLA or Lake Charles. And again, this is the first statewide coalition of this. All of these, and the list goes on. Next. So let's talk about the impact CJCC has had just in the short 6+ years that we've been in existence. Fiscally, for every $1 in city parish funding that we've received, we've been able to bring in $4 of private, federal, or state funding to go towards programs. That's a huge return. We've been a great steward of city parish funds as we have received them and been able to bring in all those programs I just talked to you about aren't paid for with city parish funds. Those are paid for with grant funds that we went out and got and been able to pay for these programs. We also are proud that all of our justice leaders now work as a collective. We work together to make sure that we're doing the best for the system as a whole. And if they were here, if the sheriff was here, or the chief was here, or Hiller, or Kyla, any of them, our judges, they would all say that the best thing they do is sit down together at a table and talk about how whatever they want to do, how it affects the rest of them, making sure that this is a good process for everybody. We pride ourselves on that. One of the other things that you'll note is, as of 2017, the parish prison population was over 2,000 people. That's the inmate population of parish prison. At its lowest point, which was 2020, the summer of 2020, we were at about 1,100. We bounced back from that, like most sites did. But right now we're averaging about 1,500 inmates a day at the parish prison. That's 500 fewer people in jail while public safety and crime is still going down. Some of the numbers on that, and these are just rough numbers, but it's showing some of the savings that's incurred. If you take that and look at the bottom bullet, the one that says the $6.3 million, if those 500 were in jail and we had to house them out of parish, we'd be paying an additional $6.5 million, city parish would, to do that. These are things by working to decrease case times, trying to make sure pretrial bond settings are done correctly, implementing pretrial services, all of these things that get people out of jail, but still hold them accountable for their crimes. We've helped implement those. We've also worked on case processing. We've noted that, and the DA will tell you that case processing times have decreased over the last 5 years for our local case processing. We are one of the lowest in the state. We are still higher than the national average, but we're working to get that down. But what that means is you get lower caseloads, you have less people to do. Again, Kyla and Hiller will both tell you their lawyers have, or their attorneys have, mounds of work and mounds of caseloads. You decrease the amount of time it takes to get a court through trial and to conviction, you're decreasing their caseloads. We've helped with that. And then returning citizens have a better chance of success through our different programs. That leads to less of recidivism and increased public safety. Next slide. So I want to talk real quick about the proposed budget for the 2026 City Parish proposed budget. As I was thumbing through it and I read our blurb, that first bullet is taken directly out of the proposed city budget, and I want to read it real quick. It says, due to budget constraints, the proposed budget of $125,000 represents a 54.4% reduction from the 25 budget. In 2025, $260,000 in supplemental funding for CJCC was approved for the opioid abatement funding. All of that is true. Well, what they don't understand by writing this is the opioid abatement funding is very specific in how it's used. We have that. That budget request that we submitted to the city parish back last June, that did not cover anything that the opioid abatement money covers. So it feels to me, this quote feels to me that whoever looked at this said, oh, we can cut them by 54% because they're getting 260 extra thousand, but that's a different pot of money. The money that we asked for city parish, for clarity, I want to point out that 260 is to be used only to fund the pretrial diversion and recovery program and the staff that run it. Our request to the city parish for funding was to cover our core employees. We have 8 employees. 5 of them are covered by programs and grant money. 3 of them are covered, are who we refer to as the core employees. That's myself, my deputy director, and my project assistant. We don't fall under any of the grant money. I need to fund our positions, and then I also need to pay operational costs of what it costs to run a business. So I have to pay for insurance and accounting and rent and all those other things. That's what our city parish fund request was, to cover those 3 salaries and our operational cost. So I just want to make sure that's clear. And honestly, I was really shocked by the 54% reduction. And I looked through most of the budget. I didn't see anybody who got cut that hard. I get if everybody's taking 11%, 12%, I can't argue with that. But 54%, that's me letting go of at least 1, maybe 2 people of 3 that I have to. Like I said, the other 5 people and their programs, I have full funding through next year for all my other programs. I just need to pay the bills. You can go to the next slide, please. I'll also point out that last year we received a 20% budget reduction based on 24. So 25's budget was 20% less than 24's. And if this goes through, we're going to take another 54.4% budget reduction. That's crippling, and there's no other way to say that. And I've already said this, our CJCC programs already have, like I have grant, it's easy to find grant money for programs. People love paying for programs. People don't like paying you to help you to pay the rent. And that's the hardest part. And that's what we've relied on the city parish for, for the last couple of years as we've talked. And we knew that the grant funding was shifting and programs were shifting. The discussion was, if you can help us continue to pay our bills, we'll continue to bring in money from outside sources to fund different programs to make the justice system better. And that's all we're asking. Any questions?
Councilman Kinney.
Hey, thank you for that presentation. In a perfect situation, right, even despite budget cuts, what is I don't want to say a comfortable cut, because no cut is ever comfortable, but what is a ballpark, right? Even if a budget cut was to fall as your organization, what will be somewhere, even when a cut happened, we will all kind of still be able to operate in a sense? If
I'm able to, I think given the course of going through next year, if we're able to make it, equal to everybody else's, which is, 10, 11, 12%, whatever everybody else is taking, that's still not going to cover us for the whole year, but it would give me time to work on finding additional funding, to cover some of those. That'll be less that I have to fill a bucket. So unless I get $350,000 from you, which I know that's not happening, that would fully fund operational costs and the other one.
And so what, I guess before the budget cuts became a thing, what were some other alternative sources of funding was you all kind of utilizing? I know grant funding was a kind of one of your avenues for your program, but what were some other sources of funding that you all was kind of relying on in addition to the city parish funding?
Oh, I mean, we had 8 different funding sources right now that we're currently receiving from. The problem is many of them are closing up. The largest of which, 2 years ago, the MacArthur Foundation was giving us $400,000 a year, and that covered a lot of our operational costs, covered my core stuff, and then allowed me to use program grant money for our programs. That has closed down. This year we received our last installment of $100,000 from them, so we get no more money from them. We've received money from an agency called the Just Trust, which is part of the Zuckerbergs. The Just Trust is funded. I know Pelican got money from the Just Trust too. And they funded, but there's no more money from the Just Trust after this year. That's over. And that's what it is. And that money I was able to use towards salaries. That was just general spending money. They didn't put any restrictions on, they call it restricted funds. It wasn't restricted funds. I could use it for general operating support. But a lot of those are gone.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. I'm going to introduce our board chair, Judge Don Johnson. He wants to say something real quick.
Good evening, Council. Just very quickly, only a couple of minutes. We need the funding. I know we talk about public safety, and I hear that concept a lot. I don't come over to talk about it, but it's a throw word for money, public safety. And I don't know if we really understand the construct of what public safety is. Historically, what I've seen in East Baton Rouge Parish is public safety has been the equivalency of law enforcement. That's what we mean when we say that we'll increase public safety by increasing law enforcement. But public safety is a systems approach. It's not a load up law enforcement and then forget about what happens after we arrest someone. We've got to do a holistic job. So I'm all for increasing law enforcement. But if you raise that leg up, the other component parts in the system suffers. As a court system, I'm not able to move those cases as fast as we want them because they're all loaded up on the prosecutorial or the law enforcement side. I've got to have a component part of due process to bring those individuals constitutionally through the court system. So I want everybody's arrested for doing their crimes, but I've got to adjudicate those arrests. So if you don't help me in the middle, that's going to bog up the system. So what I want you to do is think about the courts are first responders too. We're first responders. We're not just reactionary. The criminal justice system is a proactive agency. It's not reactive. We're getting ahead of the crime before it starts. We're not waiting for somebody to do a crime and get arrested, and then law enforcement gets involved. So yes, I want the mayor to increase law enforcement. Here's the fundamental problem as I see it. Too long, this parish and this town has relied upon old ways of doing business, and it was intensified law enforcement. That's been our model for how we do crime. Raise up law enforcement. We have not focused on the component parts that go with that. So if you increase public funding for law enforcement, and you don't increase it for the DA, and then you reduce it for the public defender, you're not helping. You're doing the reverse. You're slowing me down because I've got to do due process for the defendants. And if the public defender is not adequately representing them, all of our cases are going to suffer. They're not going to move faster. They're going to move slower. So here's my recommendation. I'll sit down. If you want to do criminal justice, do criminal justice. If you want to do law enforcement, do law enforcement. But if you want to do public safety, you have to fund us all. So here's my recommendation. Instead of reducing the public defender, you ought to double it. That's what you ought to do. Instead of saying 22%, you ought to say increase them 22%. If you say reduce the DA, you ought to increase him 10%. If you want to say you want to deal with public safety, give me the other 10%. And watch and see what will happen in a year with the crime in this parish. And what I'd ask you is to think about it holistically. Yes, I want you to deal with crime in your community, Carol, Ms. Coleman. I want you to deal with the streets and the lighting. But without the streets being saved, nothing else really matters. Nothing else really matters. Who wants to come to Baton Rouge if we're not safe? No matter how we look, we want to feel good. So let's get out front with funding the whole system, and then we'll take care of everything later. Let's experiment differently than what we've done in the past. I know you're tired of the crime. I know you're sick of it, so are we. But we're not thinking out of the box. And we're putting the same old approach that we've been doing. I've been a trial judge for 33 years. We're not doing it. We need to start with a new philosophy of how we're doing business. So as chair of the CJCC and the supporters, we know how to get on board and solve the problems. We've been leading the way, and in fact, we are a model now. And you hadn't heard about it, but if you look at it, the resources, we're going to lead the state. We're taking on the challenge of becoming a state in the concept of higher education. We're the flagship. We're becoming the flagship judicial district court in this state. That's where I'm headed. And I don't take second category to none other than what I do. I'll tell you that, Chair and board members. So think about it holistically, and I want to just share it with you, but we need your help, and I know you want to help.
Are there any other questions?
No question, but I heard what you said, Your Honor, and that was going to be my question, and that was, tell me how CJCC is helping the whole. So often we piecemeal and choppy, but I wanted to know how CJCC was helping the whole process in order for us to be effective and not just arresting. And I think you've answered that for me, but I definitely will yield to you, if that's something else that you'd like to say.
Councilman Coleman, the approach that we've taken has been this. It's been linear. We start with law enforcement, then we have the courts, and then we have correction. Here's what CJCC and the courts have done. We've done this. We are all first responders.
Your Honor, speaking to the mic so the people at home can hear you.
We are all first responders. We are all first responders. I'm not going to wait until a case gets before me to start corrective intervention. So I've changed the theoretical approach to crime. I'm not going to be reactive. I'm going to be proactive. So instead of me being in the middle, I'm lining the court system to be a first responder. And we're doing it by the individual from date of arrest. That's where CJCC comes in, because we're identifying the problematic issues that relate to that criminal conduct. And we're treating it from the very beginning. No matter what happens after the defendant gets to me, I'm going to deal with the facts and the law. And if he's guilty, proven beyond a reasonable doubt, he's going to be found guilty. And he's going to be dealt with accordingly. But 90% of the people that we find guilty are going back into the community. So if we are not addressing them until after I adjudicate them, we're not helping solve the problem. I need to start addressing them from the moment of arrest on pre-trial intervention, underlying the causes, identifying what they are, and promoting problem-solving solutions. And that's what the CJCC is helping me do. So we are reducing criminogenic conduct from the persons that are causing it, who are coming into the arrest from the first day. We're not waiting until adjudication to start intervening. And that's what this model does. Okay.
I'll simplify that. Can I simplify it real quick? Not that he said it much better than I probably will. But real quick, we focus on keeping people from getting arrested by working with law enforcement. We focus on, once they're arrested, diverting them from jail by implementing these programs that get them out of jail. We focus on making sure that if they are in jail and they're going through the trial process, it's the shortest possible, fairest trial process they could have, so that everybody's time is used efficiently. And we also focus on programs that once they're out, they come out on the other side, they don't go back in. So we look at all aspects of the criminal justice process.
You all in action. I'd like to call somebody from the mayor's office. You're talking about a 54.4%. I'm finished with you.
Okay.
Yeah. So I need to call somebody from the mayor's office to talk to us about your consideration and your thought process and a 54.4% cut. I need to hear something.
Thank you, Councilwoman Coleman. Christelle Slaughter, happy to be here. This is a difficult budget cycle for obvious reasons that everyone in this chamber understands. As recently as 10 minutes ago, we stood at the whiteboard trying to figure out how to get pennies out of the seat cushion and figure this out. We'll begin meeting with you all tomorrow. There is just not enough money to go around, and we are very concerned about that. we're trying to work with different agencies. We have our central service agencies going out and meeting. We met with city court judges the other day, for example, to try and figure out how they can save as many positions as they can and deal with the cuts. We don't have the funds. The mayor's office's executive branch are really being cut the most, in all honesty, and we need to have our other cities and partners in the parish step up so that we can fill this hole. I wish I had better news.
I wish you would have had too, because yes, the mayor's office have had some cuts, and some more cuts need to be. But I'm talking about 54.4%. That's deep. That is deep for anyone, and the deepest. And then you're talking about an organization that diverge and recover. And we're talking about, as what has been said here, when we talk about trying to make it different for people and not just throwing them in. So what I'm going to recommend is that you all go back to the drawing board and do something with this 54.4%. This is too deep, too deep, too deep.
Respectfully, we will do that. Thank you. And we appreciate those comments. And I must say that I couldn't agree more with the judge about all parts of the system, public defender, all the way through the 19th JDC. Public safety is everybody's responsibility. So thank you. We will do that. Anything else?
Thank you. I think that's it. I've had the opportunity to attend the Public Safety Summit, and it was terrific. I learned a ton. So I really appreciate you being here. Councilwoman Rocca, you good?
You don't mind?
Yeah, Councilwoman Rocca.
Hi, gentlemen, y'all did a wonderful job of explaining what you do. There's still, and up until this hearing, there's still folks out there that don't understand what your function is and who you are. And I think that the most impressive part of who you are is who your board is made up of, and the people that you have sitting at that round table once, twice a month, contributing to what needs to be done, their resumes, their occupations, and that this is not looked in a vacuum. Everyone is sitting there. They have very, very, very unique experiences. They have a substantial amount of courtroom experience. But if you don't mind, for the people at home that don't necessarily understand all of the moving parts of what you do, can you at least tell us the names and titles of the people that sit with you monthly to find solutions for our parish as a whole? Because I think we had Judge Johnson, who did an excellent job. We had you that did an excellent job. But I think we'd be remiss to leave out all of the other folks and all their different occupations that come in, the juvenile court judges, our chief. Let's talk through those names so everyone can understand the contribution that these volunteers are making to make the parish a better place through CJCC, please.
Absolutely. I'd like to start with one of the board members that's here right now, and I don't really need to introduce him because most people know him, but I'm going to give him a chance just to say something real quick. Mrs. Payne?
Thank you very much. My name is John Spain. I've been one of the charter members of CJCC, and we appreciate the time and consideration you're giving us this evening. I'd make 2 points. One is the judicial system is scary to the average person that finds himself going through that process. What we try to do is bring dignity to that process, to look at other solutions that may not have been discussed by all of the agencies involved. You just heard who CJCC is. It's us. It's the police chief. It's the sheriff. It's the city court judges. It's the district court judges. It's the district attorney. It's the public defenders. We know them all. Can you imagine trying to have a conversation with all of those talented and busy people every day? And what the coordinating council does is exactly that. It takes those issues, brings them to a forum where all of the partners can be heard, listened, and look at solutions. Yes, there are people that need to go to jail, but there are a lot of people that caught in the system that don't. And what we're looking for is to treat our citizens with dignity, treat them as we would like to be treated as well. find solutions that deal with their issues other than jail, which is the single most expensive solution that we can spend our money on. If they need to go to jail, that's one thing. But as the judge said, most of them don't need to go to jail. And what CJCC insists on doing is having the conversation to look at what the appropriate outcomes of the process are. The second thing I would say is look at the stewardship of the money. You've got an agency that has taken city parish seed money and multiplied it every year 3 or 4 times over. You're looking at the national foundations like MacArthur that have picked Baton Rouge as a model that say, go look at what that city is doing and how they deal with these issues. They are responsible with the dollars. And any agency that stands here needs to be responsible for the money, but very few can come in and say, we took your dollars and multiplied them since day one 3 and 4 times. The beneficiary of that are the people of this community who are being treated with dignity and care and in the appropriate way. And when we can, we don't send them to jail and spend that money. That's what we're asking for. Yes, it's a lot of money, and none of us envy any of you tonight because we know there's not enough money for everything that has to be done. But we have been good stewards of this, and we touch people at a level at the worst time of their lives, and we're making a difference in that. And we hope you take those things into consideration, and it's a tough decision you have to make. But I would sum up just by saying we have been recognized nationally in the work we're doing that benefits the people of this parish in a very compassionate and caring way, and we have multiplied and been good stewards of your money. And we thank you. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Just to share with the council and for people at home, there's some other members. If y'all don't mind standing up, just saying hi so the council can see who y'all are and the time that you put in.
Jennifer Carlisle, she's our vice chair of our board and also our one of our community members on the board. You guys might know her from some of her she does 100 things at once all the time. But we are very grateful because she brings in the community perspective when we're having these conversations. Also, Chief LaDuff, he's back there. He's the mayor's representative on our board. Chief Morse is one of our board members. So this is back. Aishla sits back there.
Happy birthday, Chief.
Happy birthday, Chief. And real quick, like I said, Kyla Romanok, the Chief Public Defender, is a board member. Brandy Lawrence, who is the city prosecutor, is on our board. Sid Gotro is one of our board members. Judge Gail Grover from Juvenile Court. Warden Kathy Fontenot, who runs the jail. She is also, we wanted to create a spot for the sheriff, but we also knew that we need to have conversations just about the jail when we built this, so we made a spot just for the warden. Judge Alexander from City Court. Chris Meyer from the Baton Rouge Area Foundation. Hiller Moore. Diana Payton, who's the president of the YWCA. We work a lot with her. The Domestic Violence Intervention Court that we started, we did in conjunction with them, representing Mike Mitchell, who's a former chief public defender here. He now works for the State Public Defender Board. He's still one of our board members. He's filling in a community spot. Ms. Rocca as well. And that's it. We've got about 15 board members. So does that answer your question, Ms.?
Yes, sir, and I think it definitely illuminates who's at the table and how they're contributing, not only through their public service, but also through their extracurricular activities with you guys, trying to find ways to make our parish better. And I would be remiss to say, I have been in rooms all the way in Washington, D.C. with Mr. Kasanka, where he is lobbying people, trying to find federal dollars to bring home to us, and I have to commend him on that. So thank you very, very much for that.
You're welcome.
Okay, anybody else? Is that it? All right.
Okay, thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. We really appreciate all your efforts and your time today. All right, then next up, we have the Arts Council of Greater Baton Rouge. Welcome.
Hey, good afternoon.
Great to see you.
Judging by my PowerPoint, I am more of a musician than a visual artist, so I apologize for that. Good afternoon, and thank you for giving me the chance to speak today. My name is Jonathan Grimes. I'm the president and CEO at the Arts Council. I'm here on behalf of the Arts Council of Greater Baton Rouge and also the tens of thousands of residents, families, artists, and businesses who depend on a strong and vibrant arts ecosystem. There are a few talking points I want to address in this presentation just to give a clear picture of what this organization does, not only for the community, but also for the quality of life in our home. Next slide, please. This is a great quote I saw on Americans for the Arts Instagram. It says, "The arts called, they're the reason your neighborhood feels like home." And that really speaks to me, and I'm sure speaks to everyone here as well. Next slide, please. So the Arts Council, just a little bit of historical information, started in 1973. We are the official arts agency for the City of Baton Rouge through resolution and ordinance. And we used to reside in the old Bogan Fire Museum located at 427 Laurel Street for 47 years. And then we moved into our beautiful new facility at 233 St. Ferdinand Street. And historically, this organization has been funded by the city parish around $400,000. Last year, we took a 12% cut. We went from $417 down to $333,930. Plus, we absorbed the full cost of the utilities for the Cary Siraj Community Arts Center. Now, this current proposal for FY26 brings us down to $250,000. That represents a 25% cut, and potentially $0 in FY27. And I know the city is actively working on expanding, the cultural footprint and impact through arenas, convention centers, economic development districts. And while there are many differences in those things, one of the commonalities in all of those efforts are the arts. Are we a community that values art, culture, creativity, and the positive change that they bring? Or are we willing to signal that these things are optional? Just nice to haves rather than essential parts of our identity. Next slide. Art is not a luxury. Art is not something separate from everyday life. It's woven into almost everything that we encounter. The music we listen to on the way to work, the design of the spaces we gather in, the food, festivals, and cultural expressions that define Baton Rouge, the stories that shape how our children see the world. When we invest in art, we are investing in the quality of life, the identity, and the future of our city. Next slide, please. Art is also shown to prevent crime, and I'm so glad that CJCC went before me, and early childhood arts integration. And with that, we have decades of research showing that early childhood arts integration builds problem solving and emotional regulation. It provides nonviolent outlets for expression, reduces long-term interaction with the criminal justice system, and it strengthens school readiness and long-term academic performance. This can help reduce crime, not just policing it after the fact. And this is one of the few proven early investments that changes outcomes. And this prevention is at the front end, not a reaction at the back end. Next slide, please. So I've been with the organization for 18 years, started in 2007, so 17 years, sorry. And one of the most painful consequences of our FY25 cut was one of our longer running programs, 18-year program called Sunday in the Park. And it was, for almost 2 decades, this program activated downtown on a Sunday afternoon. It brought residents and visitors into local restaurants and businesses, created a safe, joyful community-building public space, featured artists from across the nation and across the world, in addition to local artists. This wasn't just a concert series, it was an economic driver. Downtown businesses depended on it, families built traditions around it, and its absence has been noticed. With these proposed cuts, not the entirety of our annual budget, it will affect programming and staffing in our city. Community School for the Arts will see fewer arts teachers in schools that currently have no full-time art teacher at all. The beautiful public art that the city of Baton Rouge owns will suffer because of funding to maintain and procure new public pieces of art. And I'll tell you that my wife drags me all over the country to different places, whether it be for work or for pleasure. And every single place that I go, they have public art, and they celebrate public art, and they celebrate who they are as a culture with music, visual art, and performance art. Some of you and some of the people in this building were even part of a local project that we did called the Inside Out Project, the Art of Us Together, which are pictures pasted on the side of our building, at the library, and also at the Jewel J. Newman Center. And surprisingly enough, they're still open because they're still up because they're only held together with paper and glue. And I think of that glue that connects our community. Next slide, please. So, since 2021, moving into the new facility, we have invested over $3 million private and philanthropic dollars into the Carrie Siraj Community Arts Center, and unfortunately, we just lost Mr. Siraj about a month ago. That building is a city parish-owned building. It was an eyesore, and honestly, I didn't even know it existed until I found out it was going to be our new home. So I had to go by and check it out and see what was even possible. Since reopening that facility, the building now welcomes roughly 50,000 visitors every year. It provides affordable space for nonprofits, events, and rehearsals. It serves as a cultural hub for artists, families, and downtown activity. It removed a major blighted structure from the city's core. Our investment improved a city parish asset, not our asset. We've been responsible stewards, we've built partnerships, we've stretched every dollar, but we cannot sustain a pattern where our budget is cut year after year. Next slide, please. So I'm not here asking for an increase. I'm even asking just to maintain our FY25 level instead of 26 or 27 where we have $0, and avoiding further cuts, which will protect our programs, our economic impact, our community spaces, and signal that Baton Rouge sends to outsiders about who we are. Baton Rouge really deserves a thriving creative economy. We have one. We just need to focus. We need to invest more into it. Our children deserve access to the arts. Our downtown deserves programs that bring people together. Our residents deserve a city that believes that art is not just a luxury, or is not a luxury. It's part of daily life, part of safety, part of economic growth, and part of who we are. And so I'm asking you today to help us protect that future. And I'll answer any questions with that.
Councilman Dunn?
Thank you. Thank you for that presentation. I'm looking in the budget book, and if this number is correct, it was $330,950 that was in the 2025 budget. What is your overall operating budget?
Our overall operating budget is around 2.5 million, 2.4.
All right, tell me about that, because I see like arts councils are funded through grants, federal, state, local dollars, you know, some fundraising, philanthropic efforts. Tell me about your overall operating budget and how is it funded year in and year out?
The majority of our budget comes from both grants, earned revenue, contract revenue, and then also just private donations. So we rely heavily on the citizens of the 10 parish region that we serve, even though we live in downtown Baton Rouge. We rely on that type of funding. The city parish is a small amount of it, but it is consistent. And it helps bridge that gap, especially during being uncertain of what is going to happen with federal grant dollars. Those federal grant dollars trickle down to state grant dollars, which are then re-granted out to local artists. So there's only a small portion of those operating dollars or that go to operations. A lot of that goes back to re-granting.
That's what I was going to say. The supplemental funding that the city gives you is about 13, maybe 15% of your overall operating budget, right?
Yes.
So you don't, I mean, I know you rely on it and hope to get it again, but it's not, a significant part of your budget.
Correct.
What about the National Endowment for the Arts? Do you guys get any funding from them?
Yes, we get, and now it's program specific, and so every year it fluctuates between $40,000, $50,000, but it's for our River City Jazz Masters program. And last year, 2 years ago, we did another National Endowment for the Arts program with the 19th JDC for some artwork installation over there.
And excuse me if I missed this in your presentation, but did you have a number in the slide, or do you have an idea of what the economic impact of your efforts is on the city and the parish?
The Riverbend project that we did with the partnership, not BRAC anymore, estimated that over the next 10 years, the Arts Council of Greater Baton Rouge will have a $40 million economic impact.
Annually?
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Quick question. If this budget cut is approved, what is immediate impact for your operations and staff?
You're going to see probably an operational person cut, and then you'll also see programmatic things cut. So Community School for the Arts is one of the largest allocations in our budget. We serve roughly 7,500 students in East Baton Rouge Parish school system. And so, and mainly those are geared towards schools that don't have a full-time art teacher. They contract with us to then put that system in place, and the city assists with that as well. So you'll see a reduction of that. The restoration of the public art that we have, that Sarah Gardner, who was here earlier, really spearheaded many years ago just to maintain, update that public art. And that is funded through the city as well. You're going to see that start to disappear.
All right, thank you.
Councilwoman Coleman.
Yeah, I just have to say, you know, as I sit here and I hear all of this from, well, the organizations that have come thus far, and we talk about building Baton Rouge, and we talk about connecting the southern part of the parish with the northern part, the western part with the eastern part, just connecting all of Baton Rouge and making stuff happen here in Baton Rouge. And then, you know, we even talking about the string of pearls that we talk about. And then we talk about art and safety and education and the economic growth. But yet we're talking about cutting art that serve these population. And then yet, you know, you said something about 40 million. Tell me what that was.
So the Riverbend project, done by the Baton Rouge Area Chamber, which is now the partnership, over the next 10 years, and I apologize, I misspoke, it's a $6.7 million economic impact every year. Over the next 10 years, it'll be roughly $40 million.
Meaning what? Talk it for Joe Blow out there to understand what you're
Just
saying.
the investment of the art and the through events, through education, and through people going out and visiting certain things and experiencing art in our community, that reinvestment of their dollars back into restaurants and buildings and all those, shopping and all those things, that economic impact is where that number comes from.
And you bring in something to the table to eat.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
All right, anybody else? Oh, Councilman. No.
Just, I want to make sure I understood. You said y'all help with the schools that don't have arts programs?
Yes, there are certain schools that don't have full-time art teachers. And
Private
so-
or public?
Public.
Okay.
Right, so-
Have y'all talked to the school system about partnering with y'all to help fund?
Yes,
that?
and we do have a contract with them for certain schools. That Community School for the Arts program brings those artists to the other schools that contract does not supplement right now. And our contract last year with the East Baton Rouge Parish Public School System was cut in half.
Oh.
So those supplemental dollars from the city help us stay in those schools and stay with those kids that we've been working through from K up until 12.
Okay.
Okay, anyone else? All right. Mr. Grimes, thank you so much.
Thank you very
for
much.
your work in our community and for coming this afternoon.
Thank you guys for having me.
Okay, next up is someone well-known to all of us, our city constable. How are you doing?
How y'all doing today?
Good to see you. Thank you for
And
being
before
here.
I get started, I just want to thank y'all for allowing me the time to come in and speak. I didn't think I would have to come in and speak, but since I have to speak, you know, I think I better just tell y'all what I feel. If we can go to the next slide, please. On the first slide, it says the mission. And to sum up our mission is to service above and beyond. When I say service above and beyond, it means that we do so much for our community. A lot of times they say, well, what are the constables? They don't think we law enforcement, but we are law enforcement. You can go to your next slide. The next slide talks about the history of the constable's office. And I want y'all to think about this. The constable's office dates back all the way to 1898, with the first constable being elected in 1944. And here we are years later, trying to figure out who are constables and who, if we law enforcement. When you look at it, if you Google the first law enforcement agency in Louisiana, in the state of Louisiana, guess what comes up? Constable. Because constables was the first law enforcement agency. When we talk about the state of Louisiana, I promise you, there's nothing in the entire parish, not just the city limits, but the entire parish of East Baton Rouge that these constables won't do every day to prove that they are law enforcement. You can go to the next slide. The next slide talks about the plan of government. Of course, we all know what the plan of government is, and the plan of government defines the role of the city constable and states that the constable's answers to the courts, not the local government. Next slide. On the next slide, it'll talk about the key aspects. Of course, that's on the city parish website. If you want to look that up, you can look that up. We can skip that one. The next slide talks about the constable job description. Like Ms. Adams say, everybody know the constable. So I don't have to go back and talk about my job description, but I can go into our next slide, which talks about the services that we provide. The services that the constable's office provide is constable sales, warrants, evictions, garnishments, service of subpoenas, civil and criminal, seizures, restraining orders, and community service, most importantly. When we talk about the services we provide, most people say, oh, that's not work, that's not hard. I promise you, we have had constables to lose their lives serving warrants. We've had constables to lose their lives on evictions. We've had constables out on restraining orders to lose their lives in the line of duty. So these officers that put on this uniform every day and provide these services are putting themselves at risk because they are law enforcement. We can skip from slide 7. You can go to 7. Okay, that's the city jail. We have a jail. You can go to 8. We have a control room, 9. We have courtroom and building security, 10. Judicial enforcement, 11. Warrant task force, 12. City hall security, 13. Your administrative department, 14. Our DARE program, 15. Now this is coming up with our staffing. For our staffing, this outlines the staffing that we have at the constable's office. We have front door security. We're supposed to have 9 officers at the front door, and with the courtrooms, we only have 8. When you go to judicial enforcement, we're supposed to have 9 people serving papers. We only have 5. You go to our jail. The jail is supposed to consist of 8 deputies. We're down to 5 deputies in our jail. Our DARE department, 4 deputies. We're down to 3. In the warrant department, it's supposed to be 2 deputies, and we know one person out there serving warrants is not a good thing. So guess what we do? We pull deputies from other departments to go out and help this person to do the warrants. In our clerical department, these are the ladies that key in this paperwork every single day to make sure what's coming in is being done in an effective manner. We're down to 4 persons in that department. Guess what? The constables secure City Hall. That's not a part of the plan of government. The plan of government said we are responsible for City Court, not City Hall. But when the previous mayor was here, we took on City Hall because BRPD was shorthanded. They had an officer that was sitting down on the first floor. They need the manpower on the street, so guess what? They called the constable. Constable, can you secure City Hall? Yes, ma'am, we will secure City Hall so that that officer can be placed on the street to help the agency that was shorthanded. When this happened maybe 3-4 years ago, maybe 4 years ago. The agreement was that BRPD would fund the positions for the constable's office to have deputies in this building. It was 2 to 3 deputies that they would fund. The first year it happened, this was when Chief Murphy Powell was in. Chief Morris wasn't in at the time. This was Murphy Powell. The first year we did receive the funding. BRPD transferred the funding into the city constable's account so that we could provide the security. But after that, Chief Morris came in. We never revisited because I was under the impression that this would be ongoing and they would always put the money in the account. Here recently, I found out the last 2 years, we have not received the funding for the positions in City Hall. So we've been doing the work, but we have not been paid for the work. We've been doing the work not because the other day I heard, oh, well, y'all agreed to do it so that y'all could have space in the building, and that's a form of your payment for the space you have. No, the constable's office, this space, we had space in this building before I was the constable. So this not because we're in this building that we have to provide the security for this building. We don't mind doing it because we want to make sure our city is safe. We want to make sure City Hall is safe. We don't mind doing the work, but we can't do the work if we have to cut. If I have to let people go and I'm not getting paid for the positions as it is, but if I have to let people go, City Hall will have to be secured by somebody else. When you move forward, okay, if you go to the next slide, you can go to the next one. Okay, on this slide, and y'all know I won't be long because I get straight to the point. But in closing, the Baton Rouge City Constable's office, all of my officers are post-certified peace officers. Not one person in a uniform, and you see all these uniforms, not one person in a uniform is not post-certified in here tonight. They go through the same police academy, they do the exact same training that any other agency do, any other law enforcement agency. If the sheriff's office trained, the constables train. If the constables have to go shoot a qualifying score every day, the sheriff's office do it. We do the exact same training that any other agency do. We are law enforcement. And the question I have today is for somebody to tell me that my agency have to take an 11% increase because we're not law enforcement, we're considered as DPW workers, that's an insult. That's an insult. And nothing against DPW because DPW workers, they do a good job. They do a hard job, but guess what? They cleaning up the city. The constables are protecting the city. We are protecting the city, and to tell me my guys are DPW workers, that's an insult. So as I move along, these officers have worked alongside other agencies on critical incidents. We've had officers that were down, and guess what? One of my guys would call me, ma'am, look, I'm in the area. Can I respond? Yes, go. You will see us, you see me sometimes out there on the intersection directing traffic in the rain because this is what we do. This is what we do. When I flipped through here today before I came to this meeting, I received a letter from, an email from Human Resources that says, the city parish proposes 33% work reduction, excluding police and fire in the 2026 budget. So if we excluding police and fire, why is the constable's office asking to do an 11% decrease? Then I go back, and each one of y'all should have a booklet. Y'all get y'all booklet. See, I put some work into this stuff. So in the back of this booklet, it's a page out of the 2026 annual operating budget. And I sit there and I read the top paragraph, and it says, as the executive officer of the city court, the city constable executes and enforces all orders of the court, such as civil mandates, judgments, seizures, warrants, and evictions in a timely and professional manner. As a law enforcement agent, it's in their book, it's their paperwork. This is not my paperwork, this is the city paperwork. We are law enforcement. And then it says that we to do this in a timely manner, but I can assure you, if I have to take a cut and I have to lose employees, this stuff will not happen in a timely manner. When you look in this book, it shows that we have 48 spots. Allowments. In 48 allowments, I have about 12, maybe 11 or 12 positions that are frozen. Half of those positions was frozen when I walked in the door. So I'm already working half staff. I'm already working half staff. When you look at the breakdown that I had on the presentation, in some spots where we're supposed to have 9 workers and we only have 5 workers, but guess what? Even having 9 workers is still not the 48 positions that I'm supposed to have. With the positions they've given me, it's only about 38 positions that they've given me because the rest of them are in a frozen status. So, and when you look at it, all I have is about 28 employees when I'm supposed to have 48. So if I cut anything, that's not even half of what I'm supposed to have. So what I'm asking this council today, what I'm asking you all today, because most of y'all know, we show up. If any one of y'all call us and say we have an event, them constables show up, don't they? They show up. They work community stuff, they work parades. A lot of times we don't even charge for this stuff. We volunteer in this stuff. But guess what? Because we love what we do. So I'm asking each one of you to please consider and talk to whoever and make sure they understand, first of all, the constables are law enforcement. We're not DPW workers. We are law enforcement. We are post-certified. They go to the basic training academy. The second question I would like for somebody to answer and tell me who determines if we are law enforcement or not, and how can we get that question answered and get it resolved. So prayerfully moving forward, we should never have to have this conversation again. This is an insult to me. And I'm apologizing if I sound angry because I promise you I'm not. I'm upset because my guys, and if y'all stand up, what a constable is. Thank y'all. And there's just a portion of them. Some of them still had to work today, but the ones that could get off and come, y'all can sit down. Thank y'all. I appreciate y'all. The ones that could come came, and I want to personally, publicly thank my team because without them, I can't do this. I can't do it by myself. And I appreciate them because a lot of times I ask them to do stuff, and I'd be like, I wouldn't do it if it was me. And they do it with no hesitation. They do it. So please go back to whoever and let them know to keep my guys, keep my team, and not force me to do a reduction in my people. I appreciate y'all. Thank y'all.
Thank you. Councilman Dunn?
Thank you. Mason, if you wouldn't mind walking across the hall and get Mayor Edwards over here. Mayor Edwards, if you're watching, can you walk across the hall? I have a question for you. And Chief, could you come up while we're waiting to get the mayor over here?
And can I add this? Even when we took City Hall, I'm very big on security. I went to the previous mayor and I was like, Mayor, we did an assessment of this building in 2022, I think. This building is undersecured. And I'm gonna keep it real with y'all, it's very, very undersecured. I had a problem with taking the risk of being security of this building, but we're not afraid to work. A lot of times if something going on in this building, I have to call constables from across the street to come over here to assess and to help and to respond. I went to the previous mayor, I said, look, we need more security. We need metal detectors, we need magnetometers, this is the most unsecured building in the state of Louisiana. And I went to the previous mayor, we started working on a plan. They ordered the x-ray machines, they ordered all the magnetometers to put in place. But you can't put it in place without the manpower. We started looking at money, trying to figure out money, we never could get it done. Mayor Sid Edwards come in January. I went to Mayor Sid Edwards. Mayor, listen, this is something we started. They have the x-ray machines. We just need to figure out how to get the manpower to properly secure City Hall. He looked at it, he said, okay, let us try to figure it out. As of today, City Hall still don't have what it needs. I have no problem with helping to hire the people to come in here and secure this building, but I don't have the funding and I can't do it. I can't pay for it. I need somebody to step up to the plate and say, let's get this done.
As Chief comes, I would agree with you, Constable Williams. I think all of us would agree with you that the building is undersecured, and we've been inquiring about this for quite some time, not only from a manpower standpoint, but also from a technology standpoint with the scanners and things of that nature. So we agree with you there. And as I see the mayor coming in, Chief, I'm gonna let the mayor go first since he's here and he can get back to his business. Mayor, I don't know if you've been watching. I think Constable Williams has made a good point and a statement about them being classified as law enforcement or not. I think we all see them as law enforcement. They post-certified, they uniform like law enforcement. And if they get behind you and turn them lights on, I think the citizen will see them as law enforcement as well. You are quoted as saying that nobody in law enforcement would be asked to be cut. So can you bring some clarity to, them being asked to be cut 11% in their law enforcement?
Sure. I absolutely consider our constable's office and the work you do, and this lady here who does an outstanding job as law enforcement. When building the budget, my intent was that BRPD and our fire department, would not be cut at that point. So our budget team, as they went through it, and I'm going to address the money here in a minute as well, that 11% reflected what, everyone else was getting. But to answer the question, do I consider you law enforcement, Constable? I do, absolutely.
So you still propose a 11% cut for them?
Here's what I propose, and I've watched every second of every budget hearing, Councilman, and I watch intently, and I hear everybody come and plead their case. And not to sound punitive or whatever, but the money's the money, okay? So whatever money we got, everybody that comes up here that is wanting more money, it can be amended, right? And when it's amended, it's amended. But when it's amended, somebody else falls short, okay? The money's the money. I think people thought I was playing when I was talking about the Thrive Initiative. I wasn't playing. This is our reality, and we're going to make Baton Rouge work. These people here, she's done as much for me personally since I've been in this building as anyone else in the building. CJCC and everyone else that's going to come up here, it breaks my heart. I want to fund everybody to the fullest extent, but it is what it is. Now, me, if you leave it on to my own volition, I rely on my team and I rely on my council people to sit down, to amend and adjust. I ran on public safety. I'm good with, if I have to cut everything else and take care of our constable, our public defender, our district attorney, our coroner, the city court judges, and shut everything down, I'm willing to do that. That's my priority. But it's our city, and that's why I have all of you here for us to be able to put the narrative down to what we're going to want to do. Do I want the parades? Yes, my grandchildren love them. The arts, the museum, everything. We all want that. But hey, I said it on November the 15th. When November 16th comes, Baton Rouge is going to be different this way or that way, and we that way. So we got to deal with it. And I'm willing to work with anyone else. We'll be meeting with you guys this week to figure out. We got some tough decisions. And I know you got it, and I got it with you.
Thank you for that clarity, Mayor.
Yes.
I'll reinforce one of the points you made. I just wanted you to bring clarity to the law enforcement conversation. But we are in a budget crisis. I think every agency that have come before us, these 3-4 budget hearings, made compelling arguments why they shouldn't be cut, why they should be funded at the same capacity and some at increased capacity. But I'll reinforce what I said at the first budget hearing. When the city of St. George formed and pulled $50 million out of the budget, that created a budget deficit and a hole in this budget. So every agency, every department cannot be funded at the same level. And as the mayor mentioned, we hold these budget hearings to hear from you, to hear your appeal, and we have discussions and conversations, and there will be amendments made. There will be adjustments made. We're going to have those conversations this week and present those amendments and make some adjustments. Now, some people will get additional, some won't, but it will be a different budget than it was last year. And Chief, if I could finish up with you real
Councilman
quick.
Dunn, you want your
Yes, ma'am.
you
Thank
got
you.
you got 4 more minutes.
Thank you. Appreciate you. Constable Williams mentioned the gentleman or gentle ladies agreement that the constable's office had with BRPD under Chief Murphy Paul and Mayor President Broom to secure and protect City Hall with the exchange of BRPD sending those dollars to her budget to pay for those officers. One, were you aware of that or made aware of that when you took your post?
No, sir. I was made aware of it maybe 2 days ago when the constable,
Okay.
she learned about it about this week and made me aware of it this week as well.
Good deal. Well, now that you are aware of it, and I don't know if you watched the budget hearing when our parish attorney came before us, and we talked about all of the satellite parish attorneys that he have in departments all over the city, and I made the suggestion that, you know, with these parish attorneys serving city court or the airport or other agencies, you know, primarily 75, 80%, some 100% of their time, could we get those departments or agencies to fund that attorney? And the airport is already doing that with its, but we're trying to get other departments to follow suit. I see this scenario similar to that. So being that Chief Paul funded it in the past, are you willing to fund the officers that secure this space for BRPD in the way that they did in year one?
My answer to that would be I can't afford it. My budget is $10 million less than what we asked for. I don't have the money to send any money to do that. And I know this is City Hall. I know the mayor president works out of this. There's a lot more.
Councilwoman Coleman saying her too.
Right. So there's a lot of people that work out of this building that are parish-wide entities. So I don't know why it would fall on the Baton Rouge Police Department or the constable's office sole responsibility. The sheriff's office has more employees that work in this building than anybody else. So no, I would not be able to afford it. Just like the parish attorney, I think that, and I've had conversations with the parish attorney, Mr. Rome, I don't think that I should have to pay for that service as well. If I was going to pay for that, I would probably want to hire an attorney that represents the Baton Rouge Police Department and not the best interests of the city parish. Why would I fund a position that doesn't represent the best interests of the Baton Rouge Police Department?
I got you. I think you made a compelling point about all the different agencies that benefit from the services of the security, whether it's your department, or the constables. And I think that's a conversation we need to have, including council members, about, you know, how to make sure that this building is secure, how to make sure that those officers are funded so we can make sure it's secure. And the technology that we've been told that is coming, that with these scanners and things of that nature that we need. As it relates to the attorney, I think you and Greg Rome need to have a conversation about that.
Yeah,
So
I
respect your
would
opinion.
also be remiss if I didn't also, we already do security. I mean, every council meeting, every planning meeting, every civil service meeting that is held here, overtime dollars are spent out of the Baton Rouge Police Department budget to have security here.
But I would push back on that. One officer or two officers are not enough security to secure this building.
That's what's provided during the daytime right now, is one constable person. And then at nighttime, I pick up the slack out of overtime budget that is not budgeted for, just out of overtime. I have somebody here to provide that security.
I'm not arguing, I'm pushing back on what's provided now. I'm making a statement that I think the building is undersecured.
I could not.
And I think we need to increase
I can't disagree
security.
with you there.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Constable. You got something you want to add?
Yeah, I need to
Go
add. I
ahead.
get some more time, right?
You can use the rest of whatever I got. What I got left?
4
15
minutes,
seconds.
4 minutes. And I want to add it too, and I mean, Chief is right when he say that they do security at nighttime, but that was a part of the agreement. We would take the daytime and they would continue to do the council meetings and whatever happened at night and weekend, because then it would put my office on overtime, and the only positions they were paying for was the regular Monday through Friday 8 to 5 positions, a 40-hour work week. And I see we have someone from Finance and Budget, and they can probably explain more how the breakdown went and how it was transferred over and what happened in the beginning. Also, I want to make sure that you understand the constable's office have a lot of self-generated funding that comes into the city of Baton Rouge because of the services that we provide. This is the only constable or marshals, because we are marshals, that operates out of the city. The other marshals in other parishes operate and controls their own funding. And you remember last year, one of those years, we had an issue with my salary. We have marshals that make $200,000 because they collect and control their own funding, and they spend the money the way they see fit. So it's not like we're not bringing money to the table. We do bring money to the table for the services that we provide.
The money that you self-generated goes into your general fund or our general fund?
It goes into the city's general fund. We have three different funds. One of them, a portion of it goes into the city fund, a portion goes into like a special fund, and then we have another one. And those funds can't be touched. So that's why I'm in a position where it would be deputies and bodies that I have to, like some people can stop buying equipment and supplies and uniforms, but I can't stop because the legislator dictates what I do with certain funds that I have. So the general fund that the city put the money into, some of the money, we put some in there as well. That's where I would have to start removing deputies to offset this 11% decrease.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank y'all. Any more questions for me?
Yes, ma'am,
Okay,
please.
yes, ma'am.
My goal here is to make sure we all understand, because we've looked at the budget, we've read the numbers, but my goal is to make sure the people understand. So people can hear 11% and they don't actually know what 11% means whenever you're looking at the grand scheme of things. So each office that's come up, we've asked them to give us an idea of how many people are going to be laid off.
Okay, I didn't bring that with me, but I did. I met with finance earlier this week, and we would have to lay off, well, we already have 11 positions that are frozen. I have to keep those frozen. I couldn't use those 11 positions to offset the decrease. I would have to lay off maybe 3 or 4 more employees in order to offset this decrease. But then that'll put me 11 that's frozen already, plus 3 or 4 more employees.
Okay, so total employees, so 11, I know that we talked and we've seen articles in newspapers, frozen positions would potentially be deleted, and so those would not be refilled moving forward. So you're saying 3 to 4 employees will have to be cut, will have to be laid off?
Yes, ma'am, along with the 11 that's already not being able to be filled.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am. Anything else?
Councilwoman Harris?
Angie, is Angie here? Someone from finance is here? Because I want to know why the 11 positions that are frozen she can't use. Why can't they be used?
The 11 includes her meeting her workforce reduction. She has 11 vacancies. 5 are frozen currently in 25. And then she has to freeze 6 more, and they're vacant and frozen. So she doesn't have to lay anybody off.
Oh, she does it? Okay, everybody's going to be good.
Because when, now, Emily, I might come up as well.
Who?
Because I
That's
met
what I was
with
trying
them
to
the other
tell you.
day, and
The
they told me-
11, if you freeze the 11, there's 11 vacant positions today. 5 are frozen from 25. And if you add 6 more to get to 11, that in 2026, you don't have to lay anybody off.
But when we met with finance the other day, the first question I asked was, does this 11 include it? And I was told no. That 11 would be frozen, and then I would still have to lay off, and we did the math. Because they said I would have to lay off about 3 more people in order to reach that goal.
Was there maybe a reevaluation of the situation after they left, Angie?
I wasn't in the meeting, but, 11 in total is what needs to be frozen when you include 25 and 26. She has 11 vacant positions today.
But even with that, if I have 11 frozen, I only have 28 employees now. So,
Five of the 11, only 5 are frozen today.
5 frozen today. So this is your paperwork. I'm supposed to have 48 positions, right?
Yes, ma'am.
All I have is enough spots for 38 positions. And I only have 28 employees today on my roster.
Okay, so you're coming up with 10 vacant positions that need to be frozen going into 2026.
So let's do this real quick. Does anybody else have any other questions? Councilman Harris, yes.
Question, not to you, but Mayor, can you come up for a second, please? So, going back to what Councilman Cleve Dunn said, that you, I want to make sure I quote you correctly, Mayor, that you were big on public safety, right?
Correct.
And Baton Rouge Police Department didn't get cut, the fire department didn't get cut, and we made it clear that the constable office is law enforcement. So I'm going to ask you to reconsider cutting her budget, because we just made clear that she is law enforcement, right along with Baton Rouge Police Department and the fire department. First responders, we need to make certain that we work to keep her budget what it is.
Yes, ma'am. I'm
Okay.
willing to definitely look at that. But
Okay.
do know that the money's the money.
Right.
And do know that, let's say, Ms. Constable Terica, we restore that 11%.
Yes.
That 11% got to come from somewhere, just as long as we know we're all working on that. But
Well-
everything's on the table. We a team.
We'll make it
look at
work.
Yes,
We'll make it
ma'am.
work. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
Okay, Councilwoman Rocca, and then I'm coming to y'all.
Miss Angie, I'm sorry to call you back up here, but I have men and women that I see regularly around City Parish, and I just want them to understand going home tonight and getting ready for the Christmas holiday. Is its finance position based upon the budget that has been prepared with the 11% cuts? Do any of these people have to be laid off?
In the constable's office, my understanding, no.
So yes or no?
No.
No, okay, so no one from the constable's office, considering the 11% cuts, have to be laid off?
No, they do have to freeze additional vacant positions.
Okay, there you have
But
it.
with that, it still puts me at a hardship.
I
If
understand.
I'm already working
And I'm not
half-staffed.
arguing that there's
I
no
understand, I
hardship, but your
understand.
people sitting here today, I just want them to go home knowing that they're going home but coming back to a job.
And they coming back to a job, but it's unfair to these people to have to work shorthanded and double shifts, double time, overtime, extra time, just to get the job done, because the city feels like we have to freeze 15 positions.
Yes, ma'am.
That's a half of my allotment. If my
Yes, ma'am.
allotment says 48 and you freeze 15.
Yes, ma'am.
They already working shorthanded.
Hey, you're preaching to the
understand.
choir. I beat the streets for months promoting Thrive, asking people to make sure that they got to the booths. And my district performed, and they all voted yes.
Well, I don't have
So,
nothing to do with Thrive, Ms. Walker.
I'm just telling you.
With all
And
due
I've
respect,
sat here and listened to
I
people.
couldn't make nobody vote for Thrive. I couldn't force people to vote for Thrive. But if
understand.
Thrive didn't pass, if Thrive would have passed, everybody would have been fine. But Thrive didn't pass. But when
And here
you
we
say,
are.
when the mayor get on TV and say law enforcement, constables are law enforcement.
I understand.
And you should understand more than anybody, constables are law
I
enforcement. And
understand
don't
more
sit
than
here and
anybody.
pretend like
And I'm not
we don't
arguing.
need our employees. We need them all, and we need the ones that's frozen. I didn't ask for all the frozen ones. I've been working since 2019 with frozen positions. And I know y'all remembered, I walked into a deficit. I had $0 in all of my accounts. And ever since 2019, I've ended with a surplus. Never been in a negative.
And I
I've
commend
budgeted
you
my
on that.
money, I've ran this agency right, and I made sure we had what we needed to protect and provide services for the city of Baton Rouge.
I
So don't
commend you on that.
freeze 15 positions.
I commend you on that. But we're operating in a different budget year, in a different
understand.
environment. And my goal was to make sure that these men and women know if they're coming back, because there are some departments where there are people that are going home.
Well, I'm gonna fight for mine.
I understand.
Yes,
Thank you
ma'am.
so much.
Any more questions?
Councilman Kinney.
I think the biggest thing is consistency, right? For me, hear a lot of people talk about the constable office. Oftentimes, do hear a lot of people talk as if y'all not a part of law enforcement. So I think in our conversations over the next couple of days, as we prepare to accept or whatever we're going to do with the budget, right? We need to make sure this constable office is consistent in conversations. We're going to fund BRPD. We're going to fund fire. I think the constable office should be a part of that conversation. I mean, they protect and they serve. And I'm not trying to preach to the choir, but I'm just saying, if these people protect and serve just like anybody else, we're fully funding. I think we have to put that in conversation. The other side of the question I may have for you, Constable Williams, if it's not 11%, how is it if we put in the range of 2 to 5%? I know you don't have the numbers in front of you, right? I'm not a math wizard, right? But do you have any low hanging clerical positions or anything in your department that's not physical, deputy, officers' bodies, but something that in your department, if we do a 2 to 5%,
Well, that's the
decrease in that
thing I
center, right?
discussed. I'm not cutting you off, but
I
that's the
got you.
thing. That's what I discussed with finance earlier this week. I have a clerical position that I'm willing not to fill so that I can help meet some of this. I can't afford not to fill deputy positions because these are the people that beat the streets every day doing the work. I can't send one man to serve a warrant and put his life at risk. I can't send one person out there to do an eviction. We had 2 officers out there doing an eviction. The lady got one in the house, locked the door, and was wearing them out. And we had to get in the house to get him out of the house. So I have no problem with some of the lower positions, like a clerical position. But the positions that would meet this shortfall would be deputy positions.
Thank you, Constable.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Councilwoman Coleman.
Yes, just quickly here. And yeah, this place is not safe, and not just because the mayor in here, but I'm in here. And so I want the record to reflect that. And so we talked about, this brings up something here. Mayor, come on back. We talked about Thrive, and I was definitely out there thriving. And this was the reason I was thriving, because I didn't want nobody to lose their job. It was misunderstood, but I've been there before. But I didn't want anybody to lose their job, and that was my conversation. And Mayor, I know you say cash is cash. So I want to know, where are we in collecting our money from St. George? Because they have created this error, this mess for us. So where are we in that process so our people wouldn't be bleeding?
Well, one thing's for sure, it was created many years ago, okay? And St. George leaving, the city parish coffers certainly has made a big hole. I mean, there's no doubt about that. But we're walking through mud that rain got hit hard dirt 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 20 years ago. So in terms of the legalities of the St. George monies and all that, are we talking about the constitutional offices and that type stuff?
Cash is cash, money.
Yeah,
Money.
I've met with those mayors. I've presented them with, hey, we got to start talking about this deal. But our office, and we'll certainly brief you all on it privately, is trying to find whichever way we can to get help for the constitutional offices. We believe, this mayor president believes, that all areas of the parish should chip in for these constitutional offices. And that's going to be a talking point, coming up. But here again, that, I don't think there's a big surprise where we're standing tonight. And we keep talking about the initiative. The truth is, I've said this all along, Councilwoman, this ain't my money, it ain't your money, it's the people's money, and the people spoke, and we represent that. But now we on Plan B, and we're gonna operate on Plan B. Thank you.
All right, is there anyone else? Okay, Councilman Miller.
Thank you, Constable. I appreciate it. And I don't have a specific question. I just kind of wanted to comment on some of what's being said. I deal with numbers in banking a lot. I look at credit analyses, and I write a narrative based on numbers often. And so numbers tell a story all the time. And for some time, I've looked at the tax structures and the things that we're dealing with, and this is a crisis. And Councilman Dunn Jr. said that earlier, and I agree. This is a budget crisis we're going through, and I love to see that you're fighting for your people. And I think everybody who's been up to this mic in all of these budget hearings are fighting for their people and for their budgets and for their passions. And I commend everybody on doing that. But what the mayor just said is true. The people spoke on this, and the people, I believe, dedicated taxes is not something I think, it's not something I like, but they're born out of distrust of government. There's an inherent distrust of government for a lot of people, and look, oftentimes I subscribe to that, but the more local you get, it would be ideal to be able to move and adapt and reprioritize some of the funding that city parish receives overall. Unfortunately, with dedicated taxes, just as you talked about your buckets, there's certain things you can move and certain things you can't in city parish, and I think people are starting to realize that. They're definitely going to start realizing that when they see the services that are going to be cut, because there are just dollars that cannot be moved from other areas. So people know that they pay a lot of taxes and they expect, why can't we just do that? Why can't we do that? I can't tell you how many times I get talked to about problems with BREC, and I have to remind people that's a state agency and we don't fund it, and I don't have anything to do with it other than a couple of board members we get to appoint. These are conversations over and over that I know we've all had. But when I talk about numbers tell a story, and we have a narrative. Our dedicated tax structure in this parish tells a story, and it says that the people of this parish are comfortable with dodging potholes and bullets and rising waters as long as they have nice libraries and parks to go to. And that's unfortunate by my estimation, because the calls that I get directly oftentimes are saying, hey, I need, this road is messed up, my ditches are clogged, my house is going to flood, we're having rising, all of the things. And there's not enough people, there's not enough money to do it. And when we talk about it is a cash issue, yes, because all of these things, like the mayor said, we can fund every one of these things. Everybody who's coming up here getting cut, we can fund it, but it's got to be pulled from somewhere, because the revenue side is the revenue side. There's only so much coming in. So, I'm not going to call you up, Angie, but if I came up here and said, well, why can't we just increase projections? Well, you can't just increase projections. There's an ethical way you have to do that projection on revenues from taxes. Now, we all hope as we progress through this year, we start seeing, hey, taxes are having an uptick. We've got a little bit of extra. And so certainly all of the things that we're passionate about, that you all are passionate about coming up here and asking for, we all hope that taxes increase, sales tax, and when we start having some economic boom in the area, and we can start refilling some of these things that have had to be cut. But the reality is to go ahead to, as the mayor said, if we're going to get together and we're going to try to make amendments and try to prioritize everything we can to the best of our ability, but to increase anyone up here asking to be increased is a realization of a decrease somewhere else. And so I hope everybody grasps that. Again, I appreciate you coming and giving us your take on it and your passion for your people, and we do appreciate the job you do. I don't have a specific question. I know it's commentary more on the entirety of the budgetary process, but a big part of this is trying to educate the people of where we are, where we stand, and why we're doing this, I shouldn't say this exercise, but why we're going through these troubles. So thank you.
And I appreciate you for what you're saying, but I just feel like if you cut the constables, maybe you should chip a little bit off everybody else that you're not chipping off of. You're not chipping off of BRPD, you're not chipping off the fire department. And I appreciate them guys, trust me, I love them. They my friends, we get along fine. But if you're not chipping off of them, why chip off of me? Take a little bit from each one of them so that I don't have to lose as much.
Well, and I'll tell you a big part of that, and I've asked some of those questions too. One of the things, and you touched on it a little bit earlier yourself, and I'm glad to hear that, yes, you're not going to have to cut people. But yes, those people are working harder and doing overtime, no different from those departments. The reality is, when you look at fire department on rating systems and what they're doing, and how many people they have to have on shift and going out to calls to keep up the ratings. If we cut people, if we cut them, they have to cut people. It's just increasing overtime. It's not a savings budgetarily. And the police, in a very similar fashion, is the same way, which is exactly what you said. Y'all are doing. You're already doing overhead. So I'm glad you're not losing people, because if we cut you more to where you had to lose people, it would likely just increase overtime for the existing people and wouldn't be a budgetary savings either.
They're already on overtime. I'm sorry,
right.
Council,
And if we cut more, you'd have more overtime and it wouldn't be a savings in the same manner. So I agree with you.
Thank you. So I think we have a community person that wanted to speak.
Good evening. My name is Charlie Spadell, and I'm an attorney here in Baton Rouge. Been practicing for 48 years, and I am a resident of the city of Baton Rouge. And I have the pleasure of interacting with the constable's office and have done for 48 years now. And I'm on the civil side of things. I'm one of the few attorneys in Baton Rouge where the bulk of my practice is in city court. I represent businesses throughout the city, and we use city court on a consistent basis. And we generate a lot of money. We file a lot of lawsuits in the city of Baton Rouge. It generates income for city court, the city of Baton Rouge, as well as for the constable's office. And unfortunately, as a result of them not being able to service, there are some attorneys that have left city court and are now filing suits in district court of Baton Rouge because it takes a little bit longer to process because there are fewer deputies on the street. And I know it's on the civil side, it's not on the law enforcement side of things, but it does have a direct impact. The revenues from the constable's office are decreasing as a result of fewer lawsuits being filed in the city of Baton Rouge. So it has an economic impact because, as she said, a lot of those revenues go into the general fund, and that money is decreasing and has decreased for a number of years. I'm loyal, and I will continue to file suit. The constable's office has been incredible to me over the years, and I've enjoyed working with these deputies. But there is an indirect impact, I guess, from the standpoint that the revenues will be decreasing even further with the fewer lawsuits being filed in city court. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Spadell. Thank you, Constable. We really appreciate all of your efforts, and we appreciate you being here tonight. Thank you to all the constables who
Mayor
came.
Pro Tem, we don't want these people to think that they're just going through the motion coming here and not be hopeful that something will take place. And I just think that what we're doing is not giving, I think St. George is ready to do something. In 2018, they said that they were ready to pay. They said that they were ready to pay in the courthouse. So I just think we need to, take a look at that and bring them to the table.
And I'm going to give you another example. I'm going to let y'all go because I know y'all ready to go. We served about 2 or 3 papers in St. George since St. George has been St. George. It's not many, but the papers that we serve, the services that we provide, they just so happen ended up in St. George. So we serve papers throughout the entire city of Baton Rouge.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Constable. All right. Next up, East Baton Rouge Parish Library.
Bring it down to our size.
Are you ready?
Yes.
Good
Yeah,
evening.
Brittany.
I am Katrina Stokes, Executive Director of the East Baton Rouge Parish Library. With me tonight is Mary Stein, Assistant Director. First, I'd like to say to thank you for this opportunity. As you may know, we made a major update of our strategic plan in 2022, and to remain current and relevant, we updated it in 2025. In order to carry on our mission, which is the library is a community service organization that provides access and connects people with information, resources, materials, technology, and experiences in order to make a positive difference in their lives. Next slide, please.
It's going to happen.
There we go. Voters in East Baton Rouge Parish have approved a 10-year dedicated library tax since 1986. This tax comprises almost 100% of our revenues, and we plan for rollbacks. The library has rolled back from 11.1 mils to 10.52 in 2020 and 9.89 mils in 2024. And while the 2025 millage renewal proposition was not approved, we will therefore begin to operate on a reduced budget using funds from the library's savings in fund balance until such time as new revenues are approved by the voters and then received by the library. A positive outcome for the June 27, 2026 election would mean that new revenues would be received beginning in 2027. I'd also like to add that the 2026 proposed budget was prepared in May of this year, 2025, and we plan to implement this reduced budget with your approval. Next slide, please.
All right. So, we don't need to read every bullet on these slides, but this gives you some delicious pie at this reduced budget. It still supports all 15 locations, still open 1,013 hours every week, including nights and weekends. It still supports our bookmobile service that's going out to daycares, learning centers, public schools, private schools, charter schools, retirement centers, community centers, and public events. Our collections still coming in at over 2 million items. There will still be Libby on ebooks, and we will still serve our over 300,000 card holders. That's 68% of the parish. That's a good number. If I was a commercial entity and I had 38% of the parish for my customer base, I'd be pretty happy. Now, to get to this delicious pie, you will see that the big blue slice is staffing. So that's personnel services and benefits. Personnel services includes our security contracts for sheriff's deputies and in the city, for the city of Zachary deputies, and then some other small contractual services that all support what we're going to call staffing. But in order to get this number to work at the reduced rate, we froze 72 positions. So these are vacant positions. We have frozen them. We started freezing them in June of this year, so that there would be no surprise or terrible surprise in January. We have reduced our book budget from 12% down to 10.77. I will tell you, it's hard to reduce Libby. Libby is a one-on-one return. For every dollar we spend in Libby, we get at least one book checked out every year. So we'll wear well over 1.3 million checkouts already this year, and we're not done. This is all based on the fact that the library is operating on that pay-as-you-go basis. Because of the reduction in the budget, we're not going to make a transfer to capital improvements this year. We'll just kind of we'll pause that because part of this reduction mentality and philosophy is let's slow down capital improvements, fix the things that must be fixed. So there will still be capital outlay. It's a small number, but we have some carry forwards for some boilers and chillers. They're one of our most special things. And they're very expensive and have very long lead times, as you know. So our budget is proposed without new revenues from a tax on that same number that we were thinking, which was 53,875,650. And you can see how it breaks down. Next slide. Oh, we've lost Justin. Next slide. There you go.
We'll talk a moment about the points of concern. So at this point, we are operating with uncertainty with regards to the timeline in which we hope to receive future revenues. Since the 10-year renewal millage rate tax at the November 15th election did not pass, we are now, of course, operating using the savings accrued in our fund balance. We must now pay for a new election. We are also looking at rising costs for security, janitorial supplies and services, regular supplies, book cost. One of the largest book distributor who has been around for a century,
100 years,
is unfortunately folded. There are even rising costs with ebooks, even with the library model. A lot of folks are not aware of this, but ebook cost for libraries is exorbitant in comparison to an individual consumer. Additionally, we are looking at construction inflation over time. Delays each year adds an additional 5%. Okay. Next slide, please. So as Mary mentioned before, we began freezing the 72 vacant positions immediately, which we did already earlier this year. I want to speak a moment about the timeline for our capital improvements projects. We have changed that timeline. We are slowing it down. We are considering every possible cost-saving measure to our capital improvement project over the next 10 years.
All right, next slide. Here it comes. All right, so that capital improvements plan is a plan. It was developed with citizen input, your input, thousands and thousands of surveys, public meetings, and data. I love data-driven decision-making. And so we didn't make up these numbers. We use engineers and architects and experts from all over the parish to help us inform our plans for the next 10 to 12 years, because it has a long tail on these projects. So the plan has been published since April of this year. You've all gotten it. It's on the website. We hide nothing. We are totally transparent. And any of you can go and for a good night's sleep, start reading. Next slide. But in a short visual graphic, I am happy to tell you that what that plan did, this shows where the parish implications of the capital improvements plan really lie. And I am so happy to tell you that since you last saw this image, the Baker Branch Library has turned green, y'all, because we have, with the help of Architectural Services and other city parish departments, selected an architect for the Baker Branch Library. And as soon as that is approved and signed, we will start meeting with the public in Baker. So Baker is green. But again, this is not new information, but since we are a pay-as-you-go plan, this is a concrete way to see the foundation of the plan. Next slide. And there are numbers assigned to these projects. And it adds up to a lot. But it's not all spent at once because we are pay-as-you-go. So we wait, and then we build or improve or renovate or whatever. The things that cannot wait, of course, are roofs and plumbing issues and chillers and boilers. So we've thought about them along the way. Not every capital improvement is a major capital improvement, though it could be expensive. We've made a lot of immediate repairs, as you'll see in the coming up soon. Let's go to the next slide. So when we,
That's mine.
yeah, that's Katrina. We're going to fight for the mic.
Yeah, I think I'll lose. Just in speaking a little bit about this slide, the projections you see here are based on what the information we've received from the finance department. The number you see at the top specifically, and I need my reading glasses, the 122 million. This number is subject to change as costs go out and revenues come in.
All right, next slide. So recently, I'm happy to tell you, and you have seen it because you have approved final acceptance of the Bluebonnet Phase 3 exterior repairs, the main cooling tower refurbishment, and the ERV for the Baton Rouge room. We have completed the miscellaneous repair package for 5 branches, and this was multi-year, very complex, very complicated. And thank goodness that we had people in DPW, Building and Grounds, Architectural Services, Purchasing, and the Parish Attorney's Office to help us along the way. We've said all through the year that we are a city parish department and we rely on other departments, and we really appreciate their help to get that repair package done. Chiller replacements, we have to have the boilers and the chillers. We're about ready to close out 5 others. Roof projects for 4 branches almost complete. Boilers for Eden Park and Greenwell Springs is going to be part of that carry forward that you see once ever those are reported. Next on the list will be a server room air conditioning upgrade, because if the computers get hot, ain't nobody happy. And the main library holds the brain. I used to call it a mainframe, and they just laughed at me. It's like, Mary, there's no such thing as a mainframe anymore. It's servers. Okay, Blade servers, y'all. They put out a lot of heat. Jones Creek Energy Management System, y'all approved for us to proceed very recently, and those chillers and boilers are planned for Bluebonnet, Carver, and Jones Creek coming forward. Next slide. Happy to report that we have completed the South Branch Library. Some of you were there and have been there. The Scotlandville Branch Phase 1 was completed, and we're operating out of it so as to not disrupt service to the community in Scotlandville that relies so heavily on technology in the building. So they're operating out of the small annex that we built next to the real library. The real library we hope to take back possession of in March or April. Sheetrock is up now. It's very exciting. And I do want to brag on South. Since they've opened already, they opened March 24th. They've already served over 50,000 visitors, checked out more books than that. Their meeting rooms have been used 2,262 times, y'all. Almost 400 programs. They've answered 50,000 reference questions. They are happening in place, but you will see that same kind of uptick when the Scotlandville branch comes back online as the newly renovated and enlarged branch. A minor capital project that was completed was the Outreach Services Center Phase 2, which did some stuff for the bookmobile and set up the computer disaster recovery site with y'all, I don't get to say this very often, crack units. Those are special ACs just for the computer room. And when the architect said, well, we need the crack at the Outreach, I'm like, what are you saying? Please, tell me more. The Lieberts were replaced by the Schultz crack units. It took more than a year to get them. And they're very important for all the servers that we'll be expecting to live at the computer disaster recovery site. And I do want you to know that that computer disaster recovery site will be made available to city parish, to the Office of IS. That was part of our vision several years ago. the raised floor with the special crack units, the generator, all that is more space than we needed. And so we talked to Eric Romero and the rest of City Parish a number of years ago when we first purchased that building with your approval. And we said all along, once it's ready, y'all come on in and give the City Parish a place that is not underground and underwater for its computer disaster recovery site. Next slide. Is it? Go ahead. No.
Oh, we're not.
Yeah, I'm fighting you. We are, like I said, about ready to close in on phase 2 at Scotlandville. We're about ready to start Baker. Next on that renovation timeline were the red dots on your map for the Central Branch Library, the Zachary Branch Library, and the Delmont Gardens Branch Library. We would love to locate the Delmont Branch Library on a different site to take advantage of the Plank Road bus rapid transit that's coming, increase visibility, and also not disrupt service to that community for the over 2 years that it would take to renovate that building. When we first did the study of that building 10 years ago, architects told us that since half of that building is from 1984, you remember Pat Screen, half of that building, very, very aged and ripe. It would cost more to renovate that building to a state-of-the-art library than it would be to build fresh somewhere else. So we'd love to build fresh somewhere else and then move in and then repurpose the existing site for a small business incubator for North Baton Rouge, where our career center and our small business service would have pop-ups. Minor capital projects on the list include phase 4 for Bluebonnet, because we never finished Bluebonnet. We've done it over time, and their meeting rooms are in huge use, and their bathrooms are in accordingly huge use, and they need to be addressed. Next slide.
So in speaking of our strategic goal, the patron experience, our numbers tell the story. The library's robust output measures speak to our vitality and continued engagement and relevance within our community. And I'd like to point out that in 2024, the visitor count was at 1.7 million, and we are currently at over 1.5 million as of December 1st.
We'll make it.
Next slide, please. So as Mary mentioned earlier, we currently have 68% of the parish are current patrons, with over 122,000 as active card holders that have used the library within the last 12 months to check out materials, use databases, ebooks, and even use PCs. This, of course, does not include minors who cannot have a card. Does not include usage of the Wi-Fi and the computers.
Or the meeting rooms, or the reference questions, or the public program.
Next slide, please.
And of course, programming, services, and collections, part of our strategic plan. You know us, you attend our programs from the cradle to the gray. Some programs are standing room only, like the one on your slide. Some programs are very small and one-on-one kind of situations, seminars and workshops. This year, our signature programs included the Small Business Engine, which will have its final program next Tuesday. You're all invited. The Baton Rouge Room, adding wonderful programs and collections, and One Book, One Community, A Season of Life by Jeffrey Marks. Literacy is, of course, a special interest for us, but also programs promoting health, wellness, and mindfulness. It's all about the quality of life. And thinking of the quality of life in Baton Rouge, and you've already heard from the Arts Council tonight, one of the new things that we started last year was Red Stick Rhythms, where we are highlighting the work of local musicians with their own streaming platform. Next slide. Next slide. There you go. That literacy is the foundation of the library's business. Early literacy, kindergarten readiness, that is key. That front loads our effort and helps every other aspect of our community life. And we do this by working with many other programs, services, organizations. Of course, you know about Storytime, but that's just one. 1,000 books before kindergarten, 1,000 books after kindergarten, summer feeding, We Care bags. We work with tutoring, we work with literacy, we even host bus drop-offs in the afternoon. We've really been pushing STEM and STEAM for the last several years. It's written into our strategic plan. We felt so strongly about it. And so they've tried to build in STEM and STEAM activities into everything. And we don't do any program with children's unless there's a book connection to, again, underscore that foundational principle of books as a core and books in the home and building a habit of reading of books in the home. And that's why we're in the schools, in 6 at-risk schools in the area to every 3rd grade class with the home library pilot project that we are now entering the last year for. Making is a big, new, exciting thing for us. The problem is we're too successful. So our supply of maker mavens does not meet the demand. Next slide. Lifelong learning, workforce and skills development, and work with reentry is also a foundational core principle of our strategic focus with programs, services, and collections. And of course, we have lifelong learning for things that are fun and enjoyable and cultural, but we also have lifelong learning to help you get a job, improve your job, or start your own business if no one will hire you. And of course, we have that with online material as well as in-person material. Next slide. In person, our Career Center helps you, but so does our small business service. It's come along so beautifully. I mentioned the Small Business Engine series that finishes up next week. What we've done with that is we're using local business experts, subject business matter experts. For example, Julio Milaro will be speaking for free to members of the community next week in the library and help the people in the audience kind of upskill. They'll believe him when he says the library's got great stuff for you, whereas they might not have believed me. So it's word of mouth marketing from a known, trusted local expert, and I'm very pleased with the way that's going. Lots and lots of contacts with Career Center and Small Business Service. Next slide. Katrina alluded to the fact that ebooks are changing, but the physical collection has been changing as well. The Library of Things is continuing to grow, and people go, what? What is that? I'm like, well, back in the day, someone said, paperbacks in the library, oh, what are we coming to? And then they said, videos in the library, what are we coming to? And now we, of course, have audiovisual material, the great courses to Die Hard, the Christmas classic, I know. But we have Wonder Books, Vox Books. We have books where when you turn the page, it beeps. We have things designed for reluctant readers. We have things designed for non-readers. We have wordless books. We check out Wi-Fi hotspots to help bridge that digital divide. We check out litter pickup kits. Oh my goodness, that's been so wonderful. We check out blood pressure kits. Games and family activity kits have kept families together and stopped some divorces from happening. State park backpacks, y'all, that's phenomenal. And the seed libraries, I was mentioning that to someone on the radio, and Jim Inkster got a call. When are you starting one at my branch? I mean, people are hungry because part of lifelong learning and quality of life, people discovered gardens during COVID and they've not gone back. And they're growing vegetables and they're growing pollinator gardens and they're helping bring bees back. All these things are good for our quality of life. And of course, interactives. Next slide. Okay, so ebooks, I have to have them, but I also need databases, especially those geared to business, careers, and literacy, and anything for lifelong learning and skills development. When we cut the book budget, we kept those. We hung on to anything like that. We added some new things last year before we started looking at the budget cuts, and we've kept things like the Age of the Adventure Academy, cloud source, open access to academic journals. We've kept that. That's phenomenal. More and more academic journals, when someone publishes, they're required, if they get an NSF grant or any other kind of federal grant, to publish it in an open forum. And so the regular magazines that we used to get, when they cost more, you call them journals. When they come from a society, you call them journals. But you and I would just call them magazines. More and more, they're being published digitally in open access, and we didn't have access to that. So now we do, for all the people in Baton Rouge who still need access to qualified, quality, vetted, peer-reviewed information, not what you found on Facebook. Parent TV, on demand, Mailbox Plus, Financial Fit. We do want to be financially fit. The one thing that we completed before we revisited our budget was we completed a total digitization of Country Roads magazine. That joins our total digitization of The Advocate, which goes back to the 1800s. If we hadn't done it, you wouldn't have it. So, and it's one of our most used databases. We love that. We're constantly updating the skill mill and transfer. That's where you put on the AR glasses and learn how to plumb or work on your air conditioner or change your oil. I'm very excited about that. Next slide. Our strategic goal for outreach and partnerships. You, of course, have seen any of our bookmobiles or vans out and about. They've made many, many visits already this year. Usually it's over 2,000 visits every year, but they've already made more than 1,000 visits to preschools, 573 visits to retirement centers. They visited schools, and they've also made more than 400 appearances at community events this year. And then there's other things, so many other things. What I like to think of here, it's like stone soup. It's all about the relationships and what everyone brings to the gumbo. Since we're in Louisiana, we are parish-wide, and we like to break down silos. And one of the best ways to do that is to allow other groups and organizations to use library spaces, like the CJCC uses library spaces. Reentry uses library spaces. The Arts Council does outreach in library spaces. We believe in that because space is a service, but we also come to you, whether you're tailgating or at the retirement center, maybe you're a shut-in, could be a community center run by a council district. It's so important to us to keep that holistic view. Next slide.
And Mary, we're
okay,
breathing down
I'm
the neck
done.
of 7 o'clock.
I'm done.
Sorry.
Technology, the backbone, and we're just about ready to say thank you and ask for questions.
So just very quickly with regards to organizational development, we have taken a very close look at our training, organization, and staff opportunities. We have trimmed back our travel budget, for example. We are looking more in-house for staff development, making use of our own databases and services in order to further our staff training. Next slide, please. Did I miss that one?
No.
We have the next slide.
Oh, there we go.
There we are. Folks from many different agencies have worked so hard on this 2025 budget, it's been especially challenging due to the uncertainty about the library's future funding. We feel this reduced budget supports the library's updated strategic plan and will help us continue to meet the needs of our community. Again, we thank you for the opportunity and your support throughout the year. Are there any further questions?
All right. Councilman Noel.
Thank y'all so much. I apologize at the beginning. I was trying to take notes. There was a mention of a 38%, Mayor. You said if I were a business and I think it was 38. Am I wrong?
Market share. No, I said we had 68% of the parish holds a card.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what it was. It's 68.
68.
Okay. And I see it where we had the percent, it was basically 27% of the patrons used the specific databases, the computers, or checked out materials in the last 12 months. What of that, how is that 27%, that 122,000, those are, I'm assuming that's individual.
Yes.
They're all individual.
Yes.
How's that tracked? What's that come from?
And they could have used us many times, but that is individual library cards held by individual human beings who are true human beings.
Sure, right, and that's
Not AI, not
so it's not
robots.
122,000 uses. It's 122,000 people who may have had
People. They
a
could have
million
come
uses.
every month. They could have come every week. They could have used Wi-Fi every day. And then other people could have come in because the Wi-Fi isn't tracked to your card. And some people do come every day. Some
Right.
people work out of the library. So we can't RFID chip the people.
Right. No, and that's,
So there's
I wanted-
a lot more people that use the library than that.
Well, so I wanted to ask. And I say 27%. That's using that number against the population.
Sure.
My question is, does that number exclude? Is it purely based on card holders, or does it exclude people who hold cards to our system that don't live in the parish?
It includes the people who have cards who work in our parish.
Who work
And
in
maybe
our-
live over the parish line and drive in to work.
Okay. What
So-
about people who don't work in our parish but have cards?
Then they can do a reciprocal borrowing agreement, as can our people go to theirs, and they can come to ours. It's a very small percentage.
But that number is included in this?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I was trying to see if it
Yeah.
encapsulated. Okay, so that reciprocal borrowing agreement, that is that the only way to obtain a card for somebody outside of the parish that doesn't work here?
Right.
But if they work here, they can get one regardless. Is that
Or go to school here. So
Okay,
like,
right.
like students at BRCC, Southern, and LSU, and Fran U can get cards as well.
Okay.
And we even have some lower elementary and high school students who come into private schools who are allowed to apply for a card, but because of the law, their parent has to sign everything and pick their category.
Makes sense. Okay, good. I wanted to make sure I had numbers right.
Yeah.
And there was another.
And what we find is, as probably in many of your cases, somebody in the family holds the card and brings the whole passel of kids in, or checks out the books for their spouse or their mother or whatever. So the number of cards is not the number of people using the library.
Right. That was the only question I have. I do have one comment, which you kind of touched on. The Christmas season does not officially begin until Hans Gruber falls from Nakatomi Plaza. Die Hard is a Christmas movie.
You beat me to it.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Anybody else? All right. Thank you, ladies.
Thank
you.
you.
We really appreciate it. All right. The long-suffering Spanish Town Mardi Gras Parade. I'm so sorry. This has been hours and hours and hours. So we're so glad y'all are here tonight and ready to hear from you.
I'm Robert King. I'm president of SPIL. We put on the parade and the ball, and we're a little worried right now because to thrive, nobody could give us any information. We're close to Mardi Gras, and we're trying to figure out, we have conflicting numbers on what police would cost, which for 45 years we've never had to pay anything. And I know we put a lot of money into the city between hotels, balls, parade, everything else. But us, along with other parades, are a little worried I know they're discussing moving the parade, which I don't know how y'all feel about that, but Mardi Gras was starting to take off in Baton Rouge and have an impact, and Baton Rouge is becoming a destination place. I mean, I've talked to people on the parade route. These little ladies were from Quebec. They found out about the parade, and they came down every year, and then they go to New Orleans. And when you look at the crowd and talk to people in the crowd, it grows and grows and grows. And as you can see, we have our Spanish Town family here, and because we call ourselves family, the Pink Path, we are not just a 1 or 2 month parade. We do stuff throughout the year. We've done fundraisers for members that have cancer, people that pass away. We get food organized to feed the families. So we constantly work 12 months out the year. And the amount of floats that we have, 85 floats at about 40 people per float, they all go somewhere to somebody's house. They plan their float, how they're going to decorate it, and they're putting money into the economy. When we do hotels in Baton Rouge for the brunch and the ball, for the parade and the ball, we're at 80% occupancy on the hotel. So that's a big influx of money that we bring in. With the ball we have, the people that the River Center has to hire to serve 3,400 people, the catering, people buying food, alcohol, drinks, the bands, the lighting technicians, everybody else. So it's a scary thing. And of course, we donate to charities, which if we have to come up and pay a bunch of money, the charities would get zero. But the charities, when we give them money, it's local. That money comes back into Baton Rouge. But as you can see, all these people are here to support. We got business owners. We've got Spanish Town, the neighborhood. We've got charities we donate to, and they can tell you what it means to them to get that check. And when you give them a check, and they cry because that's money they can use for stuff that's not a grant. So that's my briefness on it. We appreciate the fact that y'all let us come in. After hearing everybody's, it's kind of, we coming up, we don't have the PowerPoint, we don't have a budget or anything else. But I'd like to introduce former President Bill Broomfield, and he's going to talk to you for a bit.
First off, I want to thank y'all for letting us come in. Secondly, I want to apologize. This is my first time addressing the City Council, and I was not aware that we had a slideshow presentation that was available to us. Well, Councilwoman, I can assure you I could have provided you with a slideshow that would have been a lot more entertaining than what some of I've seen tonight. Next time I'll correct that, okay? Hopefully we don't have a next time. And I'm looking at the faces here, and many of you are probably a little bit too young to remember Spanish Town Parade from 1984 when it first started. Was a neighborhood parade that went about 3 blocks, pulling wagons, and everyone just threw a few beads and then went home for the afternoon. The flamingo came up because someone said, when it saw some pink flamingos in someone's yard, said, that would look good on my wagon. They went up and stole the pink flamingos and put them on a wagon, and hence a legend has been born. So in that time, since then to now, Spanish Town has grown a tad bit. It has become what we would like to call one of Baton Rouge's largest single events. And as Robert brought up, we have people that come to this parade from not only all of the surrounding parishes, statewide, nationwide, and even met people from Canada and outside of the country. Some estimates have our parade attendance at approaching 200,000 people. in the downtown business area for 2 days. They come in on a Thursday or Friday or Saturday, and they stay until Sunday, and they leave. Well, during that time, they're buying food, paying for hotel accommodations, and we received some information, not just very recently, on the event impact. From the Visit Baton Rouge, the estimated event impact, direct impact, is $2.8 million, a little over $2.8 million. The indirect impact is $1.8 million, bringing to a total of $4.65 million coming into the city. Now, I'm not exactly certain how much of that money the city gets. I know it's the state gets some and the city gets some and everything like that. But as close as I can calculate, the city's probably going to get a little over $200,000 of that money, if I'm somewhere close. And if I'm not, correct me. But from what we've been told, and I understand the police problem, that they want us to pay for the police services for the day of the parade. At 110 police officers, $75 an hour, $80,000. That will pull us out of business completely. We have, for 40 years, run this parade. The city of Baton Rouge has benefited from the efforts. Now, let me also bring this point to you. I'm a board member, several other board members here. Not one of these board members makes $1 in salary. We do not take any money for running the parade or the ball or any of the other functions that so many people from the city of Baton Rouge and surrounding parishes enjoy and come to. Our payday comes when we are able to stand there in the crowd and hand out money to charities like Mr. Como here with the Veterans Home and several, the Children's Advocacy Center. And when we have given money to these charities early on in their development and have them come back to us and say, if you hadn't done what you did when you did it, we would have had to close the door. Children's Advocacy Center told us that at that time they were getting money, they were getting contributions, but all of those contributions had strings attached to them. They were for this service, or you have to do this, or you have to do that. We just gave them a check. They were able to fix the hole in the roof, pay the phone bill, pay the light bill, pay the rent. We just gave them money to do what they needed to do to provide the services to the people of the city of Baton Rouge and surrounding area. Huh? So what I'm asking the council here is to look at what we are producing for the city. Our parade has become a pinpoint on a lot of people's maps. Pardon me, I'm getting a little nervous and getting dry mouth. But if you I've had local businesses in the downtown area tell me that on the day before our parade and the day of our parade and actually the day after our parade, they make more money then than they do the rest of the year. And that is how they're able to stay in business. It is an economic driving force for the people in downtown Baton Rouge. For the hotels, like Robert said, they're at 80 or 85% occupancy. All of these people are buying food, beverages, things that the city is making tax money off of. We don't feel that we are a draw on city services because of our parade and our ball, which incidentally uses the River Center. And the night before the ball and the night of the ball, many of the hotels in downtown Baton Rouge at that time are then at 80% occupancy, and we're not having to have any police for that. So, I mean, so there's other events that we put on that are creating and bringing in money to the city. Councilwoman Coleman mentioned earlier with someone that she liked to bring together the south part of the city, the north part of the city, the east, the west, and all of that. Well, when you look at what Spanish Town Mardi Gras brings in, it brings in not only all of East Baton Rouge Parish, it's bringing in Livingston Parish, it's bringing in Ascension Parish, it's bringing in more and more people and bringing them to downtown Baton Rouge. And this is where Spanish Town Mardi Gras makes its day, this makes its worth, okay? So with the impact that we have on the local businesses, the local charities, and I said we're a not-for-profit organization. So at the end of the day, any money that we could possibly make is going to be put into the community in the form of giving money to charities or doing things for children who are sick in the hospital. We just do all kinds of fundraising and fun things, and nobody knows who we are, and we like it that way. We're not out, well, yeah, I'm going to track up, because I do. That is my payday. When I'm able to give some money to a charity and know that I'm having an impact on some young child's life, that makes everything that we do throughout the year worthwhile. So I'm asking you respectfully not to make us pay for the police protection for the parade, for the day of the parade. We feel, and you're welcome to correct me if I'm wrong, that we more than generate the money that is necessary for the police to be paid. What it takes is an allocation of that money to the police department. And I love the police department. They do a great job for us. We feed them breakfast that morning. They really have to work that day, and they do a good job. And I'm very grateful to have them there. But unlike some other entities, we're not just asking for you to give us money. We're just asking you to use the money that we're creating for you to help us continue to create for the city of Baton Rouge. Any questions?
Councilman Dunn.
Thank you. And thank you guys for your presentation. Thank you for being here this evening with us. Going off your numbers, 110 officers, some $75,000 to $80,000 that cost is to BRPD or to the city to provide security or support for the event. That's an extensive number and draw on their budget. And just talking to finance, talking to the chief with just some conservative estimates, we estimate that BRPD is probably spending some million or a little bit over $1 million a year with events like yours and others throughout the city to support with patrol, protection, and things of that nature. As been said here many times tonight with the current budget crisis that we face, I'm of the opinion that we have to reimagine and rethink how we do things, specifically things like this. But I want to roll out what I think we need to be thinking about. I think we need to come up with a across the board criteria. I think we need to set, whether it's a policy or ordinance, on if you need a request for 5 officers or 10 officers, whatever that criteria is, BRPD will conduct that service for an event to a certain amount of budget, a line item budget, whether that's $1 million, whether that's $2 million, whatever that number is. And once that budget is exhausted, then you can't do any more that year. But once you exceed that 5 officer, 10 officer, whatever the number is that BRPD, the administration and its council comes up with, then there has to be a criteria in place to determine if the BRPD and the city would support that. A part of the criteria for me would be economic impact. Some of the things you talked about, and being able to prove that you're filling up hotels, that you're generating sales tax, things of that nature, where there is a return on investment for the city. I think based on the things you said and what I've seen over the years from your event, it has a significant economic impact. So it would be one that would fit in a criteria to show that there's a return on investment to restaurants, bars, retail, hotels, things of that nature. But I don't think we should be picking winners or losers and saying we're going to fund you, but we're not going to fund that one. I think we need across-the-board criteria that can be fair, that every request and every parade or entity can be evaluated to see if there's a true economic impact for the event and for the exchange of services that BRPD and the city is providing. And I think we can come up with something collectively along with the administration, finance, and BRPD. I think it's too soon to hold you to that standard for this upcoming events you have, but I'm talking about moving forward. We need to build out a policy that everybody can understand and adhere to. Also, I think as we rethink things without budget crisis, I think entities like you all need to rethink things as well. You talked about some of the direct benefactors from your events, whether it's hotels, bars, restaurants. I think sponsorship requests for them is an opportunity if you're not already doing that. You know, since they are direct beneficiaries of your endeavors. So as we rethink things, I'm gonna challenge you guys to rethink things. I would encourage you guys and invite you to the table to vet whatever policy or ordinance that we put in place and give us your feedback. I would like, you all and other entities to be at the table as we, consider, discuss, and evaluate looking at doing something like this. The other thing I just wanted to ask you, you mentioned some of the charities like that you give to. The other thing is some of the charities that some of the organizations that we support, the city and the city parish gives to them also. So we're giving to them directly and then indirectly giving to them by supporting your causes. So in some cases, not all, they're already in our budgets receiving funds from the city parish budget. And we don't diminish or discredit the work that you're doing or the work that they're doing. But again, many of the entities that some of these parades and events support, we're already supporting them directly. So those are some of the things that I wanted to mention and consider. I spoke with the chief about this, spoke with the administration about just kind of flushing out some sort of policy or ordinance that all requests can be evaluated by and measured by. And before I close, I want to go back to one of y'all statements. I think it was you. You said in 1984, the parade, when it started, you said it was a neighborhood, something like that. Did you say that?
It was just within the Spanish Town neighborhood, yeah.
Okay. I thought you said it was a neighborhood type event. No?
Well, it just rolled down Spanish Town Road. I mean, yeah, it was just within the neighborhood of Spanish Town.
I misunderstood. Okay, no problem.
Okay.
Councilwoman Rocca.
Councilman Dunn, I appreciate your comments. Thank you very much. And I understand how you feel. One of the points that you brought out is ROI, return on investment.
Yes.
According to Visit Baton Rouge, return on investment just for the city of Baton Rouge is over $200,000. And that's money you guys are not having to do anything to create. We're creating it. All we're asking you to do is to provide police service for the day of the parade.
Yeah, I'm not refuting that. I think not only Visit Baton Rouge, but the DDD, Downtown Development District, they have technology downtown where they can see exactly how many people came to an event and what type of economic impact. What I'm saying is we don't have anything official in place other than what you're telling us. I think we need to put something official in place that each entity that makes this request can say, look, and Bill Baton Rouge need to be at the table, Downtown Development District, Hotel Motel, all these entities, the city parish, to be able to put in place a criteria which we can determine if this is a return on investment for the city parish or not.
Well, Councilman, this is not my data. This is data coming straight from Visit Baton Rouge.
Okay,
I'm
so
not refuting it. I'm not refuting it. I believe you.
let's move to Councilwoman Rocca, sorry.
Yeah, I can be whatever you want me to be. So, sorry.
Thank you for the water.
Yeah, go ahead, take a shot for me. So, I have multiple parades in my district, and none of them are as grand as yours. I have St. Patrick's Day, maybe you guys have heard of it. I have Kenilworth, the 4th of July parade. It's very small. It would be a neighborhood parade. And I have South Downs Mardi Gras parade. And I met with the mayor's office and with finance today because I was concerned about my parades, and I had a lady call me about the Artemis parade and Orion also. They had very similar sentiments to yours, so I'd like to add to that if that's okay. They utilize hotels. They absolutely they're patrons of all of our bars and our restaurants while they're here. They love downtown Baton Rouge, as I'm sure you do, because once you're here, you can stay, you can play, you can walk safely back to your hotel room. Moving a parade anywhere else in the parish would eliminate that accessibility. It would change the dynamic of the people that come and watch and enjoy your parades. And the sentiment is the same across the board. And we talked about numbers, and your numbers are accurate based upon my conversations with the mayor's office. Those numbers are reflected, and they have been provided to me. But what I think that we would be remiss without recognizing is I ride in your parade, I ride in St. Patrick's Day parade, Kenilworth parade on occasion, and in South Downs. What we don't think about and what we're not talking about is everybody that goes and buys clothes that are pink, our outfits, are the glitter sparkles, are the earrings that we've shared with one another when we've rode on floats, and all of the stores in District 12 that you guys go to and buy, and Bella Bella, Wonderlust, all these people that provide clothing in that area and the sales tax revenue that's generated from those things. And then I have a bead store in my district, and it is a warehouse, and they pay property tax. They pay a substantial amount of property tax. And if you're riding in a parade and you're doing it right, I don't think you can get on that float without spending anywhere between $500 to $1,000 in beads. So those things have to be taken into account. And they're not reflected on that document that you have, because some people budget and they start buying their beads weeks, months, and everything ahead. But everybody that is part of a parade should understand that if you are going to be part of this and you're going to use that sales tax revenue, let's encourage all of our members to shop local, to buy local, to continue to generate tax revenue here in the city where your parades are happening. One thing that I think that we all need to understand, and it's just for information purposes, I'm not trying to break down your numbers or anything like that. When we do have a parade, it's not just the police that the city parish has to pay for. We have to pay DPW workers to put out all of the guard railings. We have to pay for the porta potties. We have to pay for the cleanup afterwards. So those numbers do begin to accrue. But what I've asked the mayor's office to do, and they said that they had a committee and that they were working on it, was to host a meeting for all of the leaders, all the folks that have parades that contribute to the quality of life here in our city and our parish, to sit with you guys and talk about what the forecast looks like for 2026. Because in the very least, I think it is a courtesy to let you guys know what the future looks like with the upcoming parade seasons coming. You give to us, we should have that courtesy to give back to y'all, and let's all be on the same page. With that, we also discussed alternative methods to security and what that may look like for you guys to decrease some of those costs. To piggyback on top of that, we talked about private security, and we talked about all the potential options that they may have. And look, they had a committee that was working on it, but I'm asking them, I believe this council will support me in asking for them to meet with you to talk up those conversations. They do have ways to reduce the cost for security. They do have measures in place that I think that they can present to you all to where it will decrease the cost, and the $75,000 price tag is not there. We can all work together on this. We can hopefully come to a solution. Is there any, Angie or Ms. Christelle or Mason, is there anything that you want to add to what I'm saying based upon our meeting today to maybe give some comfort for these people that do add to our quality of life here in Baton Rouge?
Thank you, Councilwoman. I'm delighted to add just a few things. I did get someone's number from my son and daughter-in-law who live in Spanish Town, and I left a message earlier that right before the council meeting that we did have a lot of information before us. We did have conversations with Councilman Dunn. I think he's spot on in exactly what he's talking about, and we are very interested in policy, as well as Councilwoman Rocca. I think that it would be surprising for people to know that we really only have 8 parades, but we have 16 walks, runs, and 35 festivals. So when we start talking about DPW costs and police department costs, all of those events need to be factored in, and we do need a policy, as you said, that will cover those things. I think that the economic impact of the Spanish Town Parade is absolutely astounding. I have a lot of faith in the Visit Baton Rouge economic metric indicator. Nothing is perfect, but I think that it does a good job. And so of the parades that we have that are in our beautiful downtown area, I would hate to lose any of them. I also think that in talking with the finance department and looking at other ways to deal with the cost of our dedicated police department, we think that there are some other options and ways of doing that. We need to talk with the chief. We need to make sure that everything that we're doing is copacetic, but we do think that there are ways to do that too. So, I do want to say the most important thing of all to me is that we are in December. You all roll on Valentine's Day. Did I just say that? That's in just a few weeks. So, speaking on behalf of the mayor, we would not want to change much this year. We have some ways of trying to do some things as soon as possible, but this is a long-term strategy. So we really value, I just want to speak on behalf of the mayor and what he told me earlier today. We all, and I see council members nodding, this is part of the fabric of our city. So thank you for all you do.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
Thank you.
And just to add, to piggyback one thing before my time runs out, Councilwoman Coleman is kind enough to invite us to the District 10 to participate in all the festivities with you guys. And she is a great promoter of her district, of Spanish Town, of your parade, of all of those things. So anything that I can do to help her with any of her parades or anything that goes to her district, I'm here for it.
All right, that sounds good. And hold up 1 minute, because I'm going to take one of your minutes there. And I'd like to say, Councilman Dunn, that's right, that's a great plan. I'm a policy and procedure person, but I'm going to tell him like the judge told me when I went before him, that's for another day. And so, you know, you didn't find, and then also, Councilwoman Rocca, I thank you for the forecast there, but Christelle, I thank you for the hope. Spanish Town can't go nowhere else but Spanish Town, so don't talk that. Don't talk that at all, but I appreciate you for the hope there that Spanish Town gonna roll, and y'all be ready and in your pink and anything you have, give it up and talk to the chief, because in the past, the chief gone, right? Oh, chief, there he is, because chief, in the past, I think that you all used a little something, you know, if you ran short by the salary savings and all of that good stuff, but yeah, so there is hope, Spanish Town.
Okay.
All right, so y'all let us out of here, and we gonna be good to y'all.
Okay,
I've got just a couple more things, and I would like to have a couple of guys talk to you. Councilwoman Rocca, I want you to know that Spanish Town, to my knowledge, is the only parade that puts out its own porta cans.
Yeah, that's awesome.
We also, at one time, purchased for the city police, I think it was about $7,500 worth of barricades and donated them to the city. And I don't know where they are. So anyway.
Well, they wear out. They do
But
wear out.
there is more to know about Spanish Town than what I have been able to give you tonight. If I'd have known that you know, I could have a slideshow and all that kind of stuff, boy, would I put on a show for you.
Mr. Brumfield, let's. I want to invite the chief. Chief, do you want to come? Two things. I'd like for him to have the opportunity to make a few comments or answer some questions. Huh? And but also, most importantly, happy birthday.
Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate it.
Thank you for spending your birthday with us.
Yes, ma'am. You're welcome.
So where is your mind? What are you thinking? What are y'all facing? Have you had some initial conversations internally with the administration? What does it look like from your desk?
Yeah, so we've had a lot of conversations, and really what it comes down to is just bottom line. When we're looking at budgeted $4 million for overtime, and we're spending about $8 million, we have to make cuts in overtime places. The other thing that we're looking at is last year for Spanish Town, we could not fill all the spots that we needed to fill because we're paying it on overtime. If we went to some kind of set extra duty rate where it was about $75 is absurd. I don't know why somebody told you $75. It'd probably be more like $50 or $55 an hour, which is a lot more than what the majority of officers make on overtime. So it's more likely that we can be able to fill all the spots that we need to fill. Last year, we had to reach out to ABC, Constable's Office, Sheriff's Office, a bunch of other places, and then some corners had to do with less people than we needed for that enforcement. I was out there directing traffic at 9th and Laurel because we were just short on people. And so there needs to be some system in place, and it's not just Spanish Town. We're not picking on Spanish Town by any means. They're the ones that are here tonight. But when you're looking at all the special events, it's just been a kind of a culture, systematic culture of we're going to host an event and we expect to have officers out there for free. And so it's much more events. Hey, I want to have a fun run. So give me 20 officers for 6 hours of overtime, and all those things just start adding up, and it's all just on overtime that is not in the budget. That I'm over budget and overtime, like I said, $8 million compared to $4 million. And a lot of that has to do with manpower shortages that a lot of that overtime is coming out of, but a lot of it is just special events. Looking at other cities, New Orleans, you have to pay to have the police out there. Other places like that I've been in contact with. And I'm not talking about paying 100%, right? I'm talking about, hey, let's come up with something. There's some part of it that is just public safety. Like I want to have a command and control element out there. I want to have drones. I want to have SWAT. I want to have all these other resources. That's going to be on us just for public safety. But to have those streets closures, you know, what if a new parade decided, hey, we want to go, but we want to be 5 miles long. You know, where is the limit on, and we need 250 officers out here so that we can have this parade and double the size. Who's going to tell them no? You know what I mean? Right. And it's just we need to put some systems in place that says if you need this many officers for this many intersections, for whatever thing you have, this is the cost. So that you know when you're planning that event, this is the cost going into it. And it's not just us and DPW, but you're looking at fire, EMS, all these people are putting for special events of these size.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
That's very helpful.
Well, I'm going to sit down unless y'all need me for anything else. I'm going to let Mr. Como take over.
My name is Byron Como. I'm the alternate national executive committee for the American Legion. We are the world's largest veterans organization with 1.6 million veterans. Also, we have an auxiliary, the Sons of the American Legion, and the Legion Riders, which takes us over 3 million. What we normally do is lobby Congress. I know y'all want to go home, so I'm going to make it fast. We normally lobby Congress with a donation from something like Spanish Town, who made for us, for veterans, for dental. We took that donation, I lobbied Congress, and we got $40,000. We had a $40,000 dental van right downtown Baton Rouge because of one small donation when Congress gave us the rest of the money, and now we took care of veterans who do not have a dental care. So it's impacting the community. It's impacting our veterans. It's impacting our kids. You tell a kid right now he can't go to a Christmas parade because we don't, Baton Rouge, our city, is not going to have a Christmas parade. How do you think he's going to feel? We don't want that. And now the Spanish Town Parade, which is one of our largest parades, we take it and eliminate that, then it's going to hurt our community. It's not going to hurt us totally, but it's hurting our community. I want to thank Congressman Dunn for what you just said in reference to what we're going to do. Councilman, look, I'm at Congress. I'm always up. I done promoted you, Congress. I'm always in Congress. So I'm live in Congress. I done promoted you, Councilman Dunn. Thank you for what you said and put across for us. And I want to thank all of y'all, like for carrying that flag right there. I want to let y'all know one parade is going to roll because that is what we stand for, the veterans in our community. And that's the Flag Day Parade. It's going to roll here in Baton Rouge. With the help of you all, it's going to roll. We know that. If we have to take and hold a flag and walk down the street, that is going to roll because we know that you are going to take up for our kids and our community. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Lauren Least, and I am the chair of the Historic Spanish Town Civic Association, newly elected just a couple months ago, in fact. On the Saturday before Mardi Gras, people flock, pun intended, to downtown, and something very special happens. We already talked about a little bit of the background of the Spanish Town Parade and how it started. It was something a little scrappy and very distinctly ours. But as the years went on, it grew into something much more. For one day, the oldest neighborhood in Baton Rouge becomes the biggest neighborhood in Baton Rouge. My alarm clock that morning is music already pouring out from the street. The first person you talk to is probably a stranger, and the last person you have a toast with is also probably a stranger. The line between host and guest disappears, and front porches belong to everyone. While Spanish Town, as a neighborhood, we do not run the parade, we still have a part of it, obviously, and we are very proud to host this parade. We are very proud to have any excuse for a good time. And we do our part to make sure that by noon the next morning, the streets are clean. I fully understand when push comes to shove on budget issues. Trust me, I do, because I worked every single special session that the legislature had between 2016 and 2018. And I know how difficult those decisions are. I know how important every single person who has come up here and talked and their issues are to the community. But what I also learned during those moments is that communication is not optional, it is very essential. When the status quo is disrupted just weeks before an event takes place, you can't expect people or organizations to suddenly recalibrate. This isn't just about Spanish Town, it's as we were saying about a lot of the events downtown. It's about the Christmas parade that we are losing this year. It's about the other events and the festivals that we have as well, and the economic impact that goes into that. I was talking to my students this morning at LSU about some of these issues, and one student said, but Louisiana is parades. I think we take for granted sometime that parades, don't just automatically happen, and then there's a lot of stuff that goes into it. A local business owner recently told me the ripple effect of one day impacts the entire year. And they weren't exaggerating. As you've just heard this evening, these events keep doors open. They keep employees working. They keep new customers coming back. Parades are often the first impression that thousands of visitors have of our downtown. They're the welcome mat that we roll out for the city. It's more than, it's the moment that someone stumbles in a new place and finds their favorite spot for a drink, or favorite spot to watch a game, or a favorite restaurant or something that they hadn't discovered before.
30 seconds left in your time.
And as you all know, the pink flamingo is synonymous with Spanish Town. When you see one on a fence, a front porch, or a window, it's a badge of honor. It's a signal you are welcome here. That sense of belonging is what draws people downtown and what makes us so unique and special. So that is why I'm here today. That's why we are here today. We want to make this work. We want to be partners, and we want to make sure that downtown continues to be flooded in a sea of pink that Saturday before Mardi Gras.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Wow. Well, our last one, and certainly our most fun and most interesting. So thank y'all all for being here tonight, and thank you for what you do for Baton Rouge. We are very grateful and understand how much your work and your event, all your events, add to the fabric of the entire parish. So, all right, guys. I don't have Councilwoman Amorosa. Who's going to offer? All right. Councilwoman Rock moves to adjourn, and everyone seconds it. Y'all have a good night.